subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Without leaving a trace, took a step back, and said lightly, "Master Earth, do you seem to be afraid of me too?" After Meng farewell, saw Yi Hongchen step back. A smile suddenly appeared on the cold face. This smile directly caused the male disciple of Juechen Palace behind Yi Hongchen to fall into it. Since the three Tianjiao and the geniuses of the three major forces have already arrived, let's advance to the Palace of Great Dust. Yi Hongchen did not answer, but Chao Qian Shuang, Huang Jinyan, Meng Farewell, and the geniuses of the three major forces said. After speaking, he walked directly to the stairs of Juechen Palace, without any intention of staying a step. Meng Farewell didn't say anything, just followed Yi Hongchen and walked beside him. "What about your aura in Wollongwan?" A cold voice came into Yi Hongchen's ears, causing Yi Hongchen to turn his head slightly and look at the dream Farewell walking beside him. "I'm scared of being beaten by the great elder of your heavenly, immortal pavilion." "Oh, with your guts, you won't be afraid of being beaten? Otherwise, your current cultivation base should be stagnant." After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Meng Bili Lu frowned and refused to believe. "Then with your current guts, it doesn't look like you are in Wollongwan." Yi Hongchen's mouth raised, and she deliberately glanced at the murderous part of Meng Farewell. Unexpectedly, Meng Farewell was not even shy, even turned into anger from annoyance. Instead, he approached Yi Hongchen. "You want to see?" The cold voice came into Yi Hongchen's ears, as if he couldn't read it well. "Are you not afraid that I will be daring, and will you be that again in front of everyone?" Yi Hongchen moved a step aside without leaving a trace, a little confused. He didn't believe that Meng Farewell suddenly fell in love with him. That can only exist in fairy tales. "The look in your eyes tells me that you don't have a good heart." Meng Bili shook his head slightly, his face still stern. "Hello, why are you two walking so fast? Talk about love? Could it be that the rumor is true?" At this moment, Qian Shuang suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen. Meng Farewell in front of the two, blocking the way on the steps. Obviously, she had just used the birth law, otherwise she would have not followed up at all. At this moment, Huang Jinyan and the geniuses of the three major forces are walking behind Yi Hongchen and Meng Farewell. 12 Raksha gates, 10 Qin Yuezong, 8 Tianxian Pavilion, plus Yi Hongchen, a total of 21 people. Why the rumors are called rumors? Just take care of them. Yi Hongchen, Meng Farewell, the expression on his face remained unchanged after hearing Qian Shuang's words. Among them, Meng Farewell took the initiative to speak and said to Qian Shuang. Qian Shuang didn't say anything more when she heard the words and followed Yi Hongchen to the palace of absolute Chens together. Yi Hongchen brought people from the three major forces directly to the mountain where the core disciple was. After instructing the deacon in charge of the house there to arrange accommodation for the 20 people, he hurried back to the Red Dust Palace. Into the night, Yi Hongchen sat on the roof of his bedroom, looking at the crescent moon in the sky, a little worried. He couldn't keep calm in front of the dream Farewell. Does the moon look good? Chapter 0333. The night attack of the dream parting. Is the moon beautiful? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly passed into Yi Hongchen's ears from the side. Yi Hongchen turned his head subconsciously, and what caught his eye was a white shadow. The beautiful face is extremely cold, and among the big eyes, there's a green light from time to time, which is eye-catching. Holding a white long sword in his hand, a fishbone hung on the scabbard, which seemed to be symbolic. Even in the dark night, she still couldn't conceal her immortal temperament. Fairy lichen, dream farewell. The moon is indeed somewhat beautiful. Yi Hongchen only glanced at it briefly, then raised his head to look at the crescent moon in the sky. Because Juechen Palace was built on huge mountain peaks towering into the clouds, seeing the moon in the sky is extremely large and clear. Indeed, the eyes are extremely capable, but the touch is extremely impossible. Meng Farewell slowly walked to Yi Hongchen, looking at the crescent moon in the sky, Cold words came from her mouth. Not necessarily. Maybe if the strength and cultivation level have reached a certain level, it can still be obtained by touching it and stepping on it. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, remembering the person in his previous life who had landed on the moon. At that time, who would have thought that someone could actually land on the moon? At this moment, the sound of a sword rang suddenly came into Yi Hongchen's ears. Meng farewell unexpectedly. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, a sword pierced Yi Hongchen's throat extremely fast, almost in a second. It was about to pierce Yi Hongchen's throat. Yi Hongchen's body lit up with gray-white rays of light, and in the next second, he disappeared in place. Bang! On the roof where Yi Hongchen was sitting, a hole was directly pierced by Meng farewell. Even on the ground in the room, a small deep hole was broken. Obviously, if Yi Hongchen hadn't reacted just now, he would have become the ghost of the dream farewell sword at this moment. In Juechen Palace, which is the site of my red dust palace, you want to kill me? Fairy Lichen is really bold. A gray-white light flickered behind Meng farewell, and Yi Hongchen suddenly appeared. Yi Hongchen looked at the dream farewell with his back to him and said lightly. Meng farewell heard the words, did not speak, and did not even turn his back to Yi Hongchen's body. Call. Just when Yi Hongchen had some doubts, a sound of breaking through the air instantly came into his ears. Yi Hongchen didn't have time to think about it, and he quickly bent down behind him. In the next second, a white long sword slashed across Yi Hongchen's face. Thunder. The dream of parting with the back of Yi Hongchen disappeared instantly, appeared behind Yi Hongchen, and the cold words came out of his mouth again. Hey! A purple ray of light appeared directly in the white sword in her hand, with a strong breath of thunder. Boom! In the next moment, Meng farewell slammed a sword towards Yi Hongchen. A purple lightning struck Yi Hongchen directly. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen slowly raised his right hand, and a gray-white wall suddenly appeared in front of him. Bang! When the purple lightning touched the gray-white wall, it flickered for a while, and then disappeared without a trace. The gray-white wall in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes also gradually dissipated, and a pair of dead eyes looked at the dream farewell opposite. What happened over there just now? That's the sun's bedroom. Go and see. Maybe they're the geniuses of the three major forces, jealous of the sun. Right here, outside Yi Hongchen's sleeping hall, a noisy sound suddenly came. A group of guards guarding the Red Dust Palace are coming. Chapter 0334. Dilua Continent Plain. A group of guards guarding the Red Dust Palace are coming. The response is good. If it weren't for the genius who had to fight against Central Continent tomorrow, I would kill you tonight. Meng farewell slightly raised his eyes and glanced at Yi Hongchen and said coldly, even when it comes to killing, there is no slight fluctuation in her eyes, and even her face still looks like inhumane fireworks. When the words fell, Meng farewell moved, and the Meng farewell, standing in front of Yi Hongchen, suddenly dissipated. Kill me, then you have to look at you because you have that ability. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, and didn't put the dream parting words in his heart at all. Just the kind of attack she had just now. Although Yi Hongchen hadn't noticed her specific cultivation level, she was able to guess it. It should be in the Yuan Dan realm in the late Jin Dan, and the highest is also the peak of the late Jin Dan. Did not reach the metaphysical stage. Since he hasn't reached the nascent soul stage, why would Yi Hongchen fear her? My son, are you okay? We heard some movement just now, so... At this time, a bunch of guards had already arrived in front of the sleeping hall, and at a glance they saw Yi Hongchen standing on the roof and stopped immediately, all a little confused. Yi Hongchen's eyes drooped, and he glanced at the guard below and said lightly, "It's okay. It's just a martial skill of my cultivation. My son, my subordinates retire." After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, the guards knew that this was an oolong incident. Suddenly, he said something to Yi Hongchen in embarrassment, and after getting Yi Hongchen's approval, he left the sleeping hall directly. Let me just say, in Juechen Palace, which is also the Sun's Hongchen Palace, who would dare to assassinate Sun so boldly? Yes, let's talk about it. The young master's cultivation base has reached the nascent soul stage. It can be said that he is the fourth master of our Jiuechen palace. If the prince can't handle it, we won't be able to use it either. Far away, Yi Hongchun could even hear their voices. He couldn't help but chuckled lightly, looked at the crescent moon in the sky, and held the hilt of the star sword at his waist. A genius in Central Continent? Don't let me down. Ding, 1 month has passed, and now the host has a chance to check in. Ask the host if he can check in. At this moment, an electronic sound suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchun's sea of consciousness. Rugwaner. And this voice is undoubtedly Yi Hongchun's golden finger, punching the card system. It's a pity that Yi Hongchun hasn't heard such a sound for a long time, and almost thought he didn't have the slightest plug-in. Yi Hongchun got down from the roof and entered the sleeping hall. At a glance, he saw Xiaoqing lying on his bed. At this moment, Xiaoqing had already fallen asleep. Even if it was the sound of the farewell dream, she didn't even start Xiaoqing to wake up. Yi Hongchun didn't care about Xiaoqing lying on his bed. Instead, after so many days, he was already used to Xiaoqing lying next to him. Taking off his boots casually, Yi Hongchun sat on the bed. His consciousness sneaked into the sea of knowledge. At this moment, a white group of light has appeared in the sea of consciousness the size of a lake. Ding, do you check in? An electronic sound came from the light group, making Yi Hongchun heard very clearly. Check in. Yi Hongchun said faintly. Ding, the check-in succeeded. The next check-in time, 1 week later. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a legendary level reward. Doluo, Continental Plain. When the words fell, a sphere with red light suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchun's eyes. Chapter 0335. Central Continent Genius. 1. When the words fell, a red ball of light suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchun's eyes. And in the sphere of light, a huge continent suddenly emerged, with huge forests, huge buildings, and a snow-white area. Doluo Continent. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchun's gray eyes shrank suddenly, and he couldn't believe it. He actually got such a plane? The Doluo Continent does not have as many bells and whistles in this world now. Yes, it's just some soul power. There are still martial arts, and there are more soul beasts. After waiting for the genius to come from Central Continent this time, I can go here and have a look. I don't know what surprises there are. Yi Hongchun resisted the excitement in his heart, calmed down, and withdrew from the sea of consciousness. Wu Gengji, the benefits he gained are undoubtedly huge. 30% of the power. Of course, maybe the god in Wu Gengji is behind. After all, 30% of his power is only a cultivator who makes him comparable to the dollar infancy. But in Doluo Continent, there are also gods' residences. Among them, all the protagonists have become gods in the final ending. Shaking his head, Yi Hongchun slowly lay down, gradually closing his eyes and falling asleep. The early morning of the vertical day. Yi Hongchun, Ning Shui, Yi Lingyun, and Mo Ran, and 2 famous geniuses from the Palace of Great Dust, Tian Shui Han. Bai Luoli, a group of 6 people, together with the geniuses of the 3 major forces, came to the main palace of Jiuechen Palace, which is the peak of the mountain. You have to remember, in any case, you can't lose the face of our Dongzhou in front of the geniuses of Zhongzhou, understand? Yi Tianjue looked at the 26 people in front of him with a serious face and reminded him, Master, if we confront the genius of Zhongzhou and our genius of Dongzhou loses, what will happen? Ning Shui's expression was a little curious. She stood beside Yi Hongchun and asked Yi Tianjue, who was explaining the matter in front of her. Lost? Then you're the first to lose the qualification to go to Central Continent. After Yi Tianjue heard what Ning Shui said, he didn't sell it, but instead raised a finger. First, you have lost the qualification to go to Central Continent to improve yourself, and second, the entire East Continent will be unable to lift its head in front of the people of Central Continent because of you. The last and most important point is that there will still be a major event that will cause disasters for the 4 major forces in East Continent. When it comes to the last point, Yi Tianjue's eyes are obviously helpless, wanting to resist something, but there is another feeling of fatigue. This was completely captured by Yi Hongchun, Meng Farewell, Ning Shui, Yi Lingyun, Huang Jinyan, Qian Shuiying, and others. All of them couldn't help but bulge out. Obviously, everyone was very uneasy in their hearts. Even at the moment of parting in the dream, the cold color on his face disappeared completely, but he glanced at Yi Hongchen thoughtfully. Counting it all, the genius of Central Continent is about to arrive at this point. Yi Tianjue glanced at the sky. A smile suddenly appeared on his face. The next moment, an ordinary long sword suddenly appeared in Yi Tianjue's hands. Drive me! In the next second, Yi Tianjue swung his sword directly to the top of Juechen Palace, and a huge sword intent appeared on Yi Tianjue's body. Except for Yi Hongchen and Meng Farewell, everyone present was directly forced back at least 3 steps by this momentum. Boom! On the originally gray sky, there was a white ripple, and after a while, a white light emerged. Okay, go in. Remember, don't despise each other, even if the cultivation base is lower than yours. Chapter 0336. The Genius of the Middle Continent. Well, you go in. Remember, don't shame us, Dongzhou. Even if the other party's cultivation base is lower than yours, don't despise the other party soon. After swinging this sword, Yi Tianjue's face was a little pale. Obviously, this sword just spent a lot of his energy, but he was still asking Yi Hongchen to wait for 26 people. Yes, Yi Hongchen said first, taking a step slowly under his feet, and the whole person floated up on his own, walking towards the white light in the sky. Yi Hongchen's whole body was like walking a step by step approaching the white light in the sky. The others also nodded towards Yi Tianjue, one after another soaring into the sky, toward the white light of the sky. Its speed is faster than that of Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen only walked halfway, and the geniuses of the 4 powers were almost gone, leaving only the 4 great arrogances. The earthly sun, Yi Hongchen, fairy lichen dream, farewell. Raksha girl, thousand snow, Sakura, master Fukin, Huang Jinyan. Yi Hongchen, do you know the last point that the Night Palace Master said? After everyone entered the light group, Meng Farewell's figure moved quickly and suddenly came to Yi Hongchen's side. Yeah, you're the only heir of the Night Palace Master. Don't tell me that you don't know. Qian Shuiying also came to Yi Hongchen's side like a piece of viscose glue and said in disbelief, Princess Earthly, I feel that if the Night Palace Master has lost what he said, something will happen to the 4 major forces, which has something to do with Central Continent. Maybe if we lose, Zhongzhou will have a reason to attack our Dongzhou. Master Fukin Huang Jinyan also came to Meng Farewell, pretending to say profoundly. After listening to his words, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but secretly despise in her heart. If Central Continent really attacked our East Continent, it would be pulling the whole body together, and people from the other 3 continents would definitely unite. Yi Hongchen glanced at Huang Jinyan and said faintly. In the next second, he took another step under his feet. Call! Suddenly, an afterimage suddenly appeared at the location of Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen came directly to the place of white light. What's more, we won't lose. After Yi Hongchen said the last sentence, he got into the white light. After hearing Yi Hongchen's last words, Meng Farewell smiled, and the cold face disappeared. That's right, we won't lose. After Meng Farewell murmured, he also speeded up and plunged directly into the white light. Just do you want Fairy Lichen to pay attention to you? No self-knowledge. Qian Shuiying glanced at Huang Jinyan, quite contemptuous. What Huang Jinyan said just now is clearly a clever performance. How do you know that I let her not notice? Yi Hongchen is no more than a mortal like me. When Huang Jinyan heard Qian Shuiying's words, a trace of coldness was wiped in his eyes, and he speeded up directly, rushing to the white light. After Yi Hongchen got into the white light, the line of sight in front of him was suddenly distorted. When he recovered again, the whole person came to a small island, and all around the island is sea water. The other geniuses who came in first are all on the island at this moment, gathering together in units of forces. I thought I was making gestures with the geniuses of Central Continent in the palace of Absolute Chens. It turned out to be on this island. Isn't it? And there were no rules before, that is to say, we can get on together. It's their turn. Haha. This remark is about our heartburn. How can we not win this way? Chapter 0337. Central Continent Genius 2 at this moment. All the geniuses of Dongzhou are in surprise. After all, with their 26 people, they have already occupied nearly 80% of the island's territory. In Zhongzhou, there are more people who can't come in them, right? At this time, three figures again appear beside Yi Hongchen. It was Meng Farewell, Qian Shuiying, and Huang Jinyan. Yi Hongchen just glanced at them and walked towards the five people of Ning Shui in Juechen Palace. Young Palace Master, I don't know what's going on here. I don't really want to fight on this island, right? When Bai Luoli saw Yi Hongchen walk over, he immediately leaned forward, a little puzzled. And his words are like waking up the other four people in Juechen Palace. Just like waking up from a dream. Yeah, it's impossible to really fight on this island, right? What if the island is destroyed? Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, three golden rays of light bombarded the sky and the earth. The sea in front of the island directly rises three water columns. Three people wearing golden armor suddenly appeared in front of all Dongzhou geniuses. A person standing on the far left is extremely large, and the whole person seems to have a sense of sight of at least 2 meters. A typical brawny type. A person standing on the far right side was a little thin, but his face was extremely handsome, and he looked 18 years old. The person standing in the middle was a little girl who looked only 145 centimeters tall, which puzzled the geniuses of Dongzhou. Of the three of them, the people on both sides looked a little oppressive, but the little girl in the middle was it's too perfunctory. You are the so-called geniuses of Dongzhou? This is too weak, right? 10 late congenitals, 9 early golden cores, 3 mid-golden cores, and 2 late golden cores. The little girl glanced at Dongzhou's genius, her eyes full of disdain, but after seeing Yi Hongchen and dreaming of leaving, her eyes widened in confusion. Because she couldn't see through Yi Hongchen, the cultivation base of dreaming farewell. Cut, what do you look like? 3 people, 26 of us. What do you use to fight us? The people in Rakshasa were the most irritable, especially the Mingzi, who immediately said to the little girl with disdain, "Oh, 26, is it strong?" This time, it was not the little girl who spoke, but the brawny man in gold, but he did not cover his muscles. When the words fell, the brawny punched a punch quickly, and a golden fist appeared in front of him instantly. Whirring. The huge power directly rolled up the sea, and the fist instantly became bigger, even bigger than the island. No, he is going to destroy the island. Mo Ran yelled immediately when he saw this. Sea water, this is his weakness. So, just snorted, took the lead, and greeted the golden fist. Seeing this, the geniuses of other people's forces also used their own methods to attack the big golden fist. On the island, only Yi Hongchen, Meng Farewell, Qian Shuiying, and Huang Jinyan did not do anything, still standing in place. The 4 of them, but the 4 great arrogances of Dongzhou, naturally cannot reveal their strength prematurely. Boom. However, in the next moment, something that Yi Hongchen, Meng Farewell, Qian Shuiying, and Huang Jinyan could not imagine happened. 22 people, the golden fists that all attacked together, didn't even destroy the golden fists all at once. Instead, the golden fists smashed the island all at once. Chapter 0338. Inferiority. Yi Hongchen frowned slightly after feeling the empty under her feet and slowly moved her figure and wanted to fly into the sky. Since the island cannot stand in the air. Unfortunately, the idea is beautiful, but the reality is cruel. Yi Hongchen was just about to rise to the sky, and an extremely powerful pressure was directly pressed down, as if he was about to crush Yi Hongchen's body. Yi Hongchen was forced to fall, wrapped around her feet with spiritual power, and stepped on the surface of the water. This space is forbidden. No wonder these 3 geniuses from Central Continent have been stepping on the surface of the water, not floating. This world is forbidden to air. Wouldn't we be consumed here? What are you afraid of? Wouldn't the people in Central Continent also consume it? Yi Hongchen heard the noisy sound in her ears, frowned slightly, and said faintly, Quiet. Yi Hongchen's voice seemed to have some kind of traction. Everyone heard his voice, and the noisy voice immediately disappeared. 25 Dongzhou geniuses, including Meng Farewell, Qian Shuiying, and Huang Jinyan, are all looking at Yi Hongchen, trying to get any ideas from him. The three geniuses must be the geniuses of Zhongzhou. I don't know your names yet. Yi Hongchen directly ignored their eyes, looked at the three people on the opposite side, and said indifferently, "Presumably, you're also the leader of this Dongzhou genius, right? It's okay to tell you. My name is Taijun." When the brawny man heard Yi Hongchen's words, he smiled, as if he was a reckless man. "Mo Qianshang," some thin men said coldly, holding a face. Only the little girl in the middle raised her head proudly and said towards Yi Hongchen, "You are not qualified to know my name." "Then come on." Yi Hongchen heard the words, his expression unchanged. The next second, his feet were slightly underwater, and the whole person suddenly turned into an afterimage. "Good come." Seeing Yi Hongchen, who suddenly appeared in front of him, the brawny Iron Army became excited and shouted. In the next second, the golden light on his body exploded, and he greeted Yi Hongchen with a punch. Yi Hongchen also punched the Taijun. Two punches collided. Boom! A terrifying cyclone burst out from Yi Hongchen, the center of the Iron Army's two punches instantly. There was a puddle under the feet of the two of them, and they sunk in. Boom! In the next moment, Yi Hongchen and Taijun were both knocked out by the opponent's power. After Yi Hongchen stabilized his figure, he had retreated at least 30 meters away, but the Taijun only retreated 20 meters. In this contest, which is strong and weak, Dongzhou's genius is clear. This person's physical strength is so powerful. Yi Hongchen looked at the Iron Army ahead, sinking in his heart. You should know that his physical strength has reached the mid-gold core pill-holding stage, and it is not an ordinary pill-holding stage, and can even be comparable to the cultivators of the Yuan pill stage. However, he was actually at a disadvantage in the physical contest. If I guess right, the person just now and the woman should be the two strongest among them. The little girl looked at Yi Hongchen and the dream Farewell standing on the water and said to the thin man beside her, "Mo Qianshang, don't worry, I won't let other people disturb you." Mo Qianshang seemed to know the meaning of the little girl's words, and his stern face suddenly smiled. In the next second, golden light surged on his body, and golden shadows appeared on the surface of the sea. All of them held a golden sword in their hands, and they looked extremely powerful. Little dish geniuses of Dongzhou, come and fight with me. Chapter 0339. The strength of the Taijun Mo Qianshang. Dongzhou's small dish geniuses, come on, have a good fight with me. Mo Qianshang said in a deep voice. After that, the golden figure that had originally appeared above the sea immediately rushed towards the geniuses of the four major forces, including Juechen Palace. When, the sound of weapons colliding with each other was heard. Except for Yi Hongchen and Meng Farewell, the other 24 geniuses were attacked by golden figures. Combined together, Mo Qianshang's golden light exploded after seeing all the 24 geniuses being pushed back 20 meters. Call! In the next second, his thin body rushed over the sea to the Dongzhou genius who had been gathered together. Hum. The golden figure seemed to have received some instructions, and the golden light on each body was exploding, all of them slashed towards the opponent. Bang! Yi Lingyun was blown away by this knife for more than 10 meters, and his feet were also plunged into the sea. Damn it, without a support point, my fast sword can't be used at all. Yi Lingyun hated in his heart, and a sense of powerlessness floated from his heart. But the genius of Juechen Palace. How could it be so unbearable? At this moment, not only Yi Lingyun, but also Ning Shui, Mo Ran, Tian Shui Han, Bai Luoli, and others of Juechen Palace were crushed by this golden figure. The same is true for the other three powers. Even Qian Shuiying and Huang Jinyan, who are also one of the four great arrogances, don't show their trump cards. The situation is just better than those geniuses, not optimistic. Ha! Come and pick me up again. The brawny Iron Army was extremely excited when seeing the geniuses of Dongzhou gathered together. In the next second, both feet stepped on the surface of the sea, and the huge figure jumped instantly, going to the sky over the 24 geniuses. What? Isn't this forbidden air? Why can he fly? When the Iron Army came over their heads, a Xin Yuekui genius exclaimed. Because he didn't use spiritual power, he just relied on the power of the physical body. This person is so strong. A female disciple of Luo Shaman stared closely at the Iron Army above her head, her expression extremely solemn. Just as they were talking, a golden light appeared on Tiejuan's body. A powerful cultivation base appeared directly in the perception of everyone in Dongzhou without any concealment. Yuan Dan realm in the late Jin Dan. Moreover, it seems that Jin Dan is about to reach its peak in the late stage. Take me a punch. The Taijun punched toward the person below. A golden arm, his hand clenched into a fist and quickly pressed it down. Very huge. TZ, I'll help you. Mo Qiansheng, who rushed over and stood in front of Dongzhou Genius, showed an inexplicable smile on his face. In the next second, he actually took a picture on the surface of the sea below his feet. Bang, bang, bang. One after another, a column of water appeared directly around the 24 geniuses of Dongzhou. A wall of water is formed. It was completely surrounded by this move, only there was a gap at the top, but there was still a huge fist pressed down. Don't disperse your attacks. Break that fist together, and you will be able to be safe. Huang Jinyan's complexion was extremely gloomy, but he adjusted his state quickly and gave orders. Okay, Billy Yuojin, break it for me. After hearing Huang Jinyan's words, everyone did not dare to relax. All of them used their martial arts to meet the golden fists of the Iron Army. I'll help them. Yi Hongchen said to Meng, not far away after seeing the 24 people surrounded by a wall of water. Chapter 0340. The Enchantment of Pupils, I'll help them. Yi Hongchen said indifferently towards the dream, not far away after seeing that the 24 geniuses of Dongzhou had fallen into such a situation. After speaking, he wanted to rush over and help them break through this wall of water. Suddenly, a golden light flickered in front of Yi Hongchen, and an extremely strong oppressive force was also pressing towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen only felt that his body was 100 kilograms heavier, which was extremely uncomfortable. Brother, where are you going? Don't you deserve my sister to play with? The golden light slowly faded, and a little girl suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen. A small golden armor, a little blue long hair, a pair of bright and energetic eyes, and an extremely small and delicate face. It's just a very well-behaved little Loli. When the words were over, little Lolita's bright eyes suddenly appeared pink. Yi Hongchen's body was blank for a while, and even his lifeless eyes became extremely sluggish. This little girl is surprisingly the strangest among the 3 geniuses of Central Continent. Meng Farewell, not far away, noticed something was wrong, and quickly ran over the surface of the sea. Little Lolita also hit Yi Hongchen's heart with a palm at this time. Meng Farewell had just arrived in front of Yi Hongchen and slapped the palm of little Lori's hand in the same way. Boom! Meng Farewell, together with Yi Hongchen, were rushed out under this attack together. Above the water, a small road was drawn by the feet of the two. Little Lolita didn't move at all, but in front of her eyes, the water surface seemed to have evaporated, sinking in. The reaction is quite fast. Little Lolita looked at the dream Farewell holding Yi Hongchen. Her eyes faded, and Yi Hongchen's sluggish eyes gradually returned to color. Consciousness returns. What a pupil technique. Yi Hongchen looked at the little Lolita in front of her, feeling very sad. Just now he only saw a little Loli appear in front of him, and then, as if she was asleep, she was completely unconscious. But what happened just now is very deeply engraved in his mind. He can't forget it. If it weren't for a dream Farewell, he might have been injured at this moment, right? My charm is naturally strong, so you don't need to say more. Little Lori raised her head proudly after hearing Yi Hongchen's words. Boom! At this moment, a golden light came from behind the little Lolita, which was the place where the 24 geniuses of Dongzhou. The water wall surrounding them was completely shattered under the golden light. One figure after another appeared above the sea, but they were all lying down. They were the disciples of the four major forces in East Continent. Among them, Juechen Palace had already laid down 2 people, by Luoli, the weakest one, Tian Shuian. There are also more people lying on the water in Tianxian Pavilion. For people, 6 from Luo Shaman and 6 from Qin Yuezong. 24 people, but now there are 18 people lying down. You know, this was just an attack from the Iron Army, and Mo Qiansheng didn't take any action, just sealing their retreat. Damn it, why is it so strong? Huang Jinyan's complexion was extremely pale. Watching the Iron Army that had fallen on the water, an unprecedented pressure suddenly appeared. Hey, these people are too casual, right? Just my 70% strength. So many people lie down. Tai Jun looked at the Dongzhou genius lying on the water, touched his head with some embarrassment, and said to Mo Qiansheng beside him, "Soldier, let these people play with me. Otherwise it would be too boring." Chapter 0341. Ink Staining Works. Soldier, these people will give it to me. Otherwise you will all be beaten on the ground by you. Then it will be really no fun. After Mo Qiansheng heard Tai Jun's words, he slowly shook his head, looked at the only 3 people left in front of him, and said, "What do you think of me? Why do you look down on me so much?" Mo Ran has always been so proud. Where can he stand this kind of stimulation? Suddenly, a golden light that was brighter than the 3 geniuses of Zhongzhou appeared on the whole person. In the next second, Moran became a golden man again. Stepping on the surface of the water is like a layer of gold. Bang! Mo Ran didn't say a word, and suddenly exerted force under his feet, and a column of water rose directly from the original place. Come on, let you see what is called a genius. Although Mo Qiansheng also saw the changes in Mo Ran, he didn't take it too seriously. Raise the silver broadsword in his hand at will, and swing it directly at the rushing ink dye. Call! In the next second, a green cobra turned like an illusion above Mo Qiansheng. Looking back at Mo Ran, there was nothing in his hands, nor did he have the aura of Mo Qiansheng on his body. Looks down the wind. After Yi Hongchen saw from a distance, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. If Mo Ran was really so easy to deal with, how could he be held back by him for so long before? Sure enough, just as Yi Hongchen thought in his heart, Mo Ran suddenly turned into a golden light when he came to Mo Qiansheng and was about to be hit by his big sword. Call! Mo Qiansheng's offensive suddenly fell through. The next moment, Mo Qiansheng suddenly fell into Mo Ran's offensive, and whenever he wanted to fight back, Mo Ran disappeared again. Then he attacked another place. Good opportunity. Mo Ran dragged him, that brawny man. Let's deal with it together. Upon seeing this, Huang Jinyan was overjoyed and shouted to the only people left. When the words were over, Huang Jinyan sat directly on the surface of the water, with the purple long piano on his legs, and began to play. Qian Shuiying, Yi Lingyun, Ning Shui, and the only genius in the Tianxian Pavilion, all turned defense into offense, killing the Iron Army. Qiansheng, this kid will let you, and I'm not welcome to other people. Seeing that Mo Qiansheng was dragged by Mo Qiansheng, the Taijun didn't go to help. Instead, he spoke to Mo Qiansheng with some pride. In the next second, his legs jumped, and there was a sudden surge above the water. Can you just leap up? Yi Lingyun narrowed his eyes when he saw it. In the next second, both legs jumped above the water, although the speed is not fast, but also rushed to the Iron Army in the sky. A strong sword intent appeared on Yi Lingyun's body instantly. Qin Kideo sold Dao speed. Upon seeing this, Huang Jinyan suddenly pushed his fingers forward on the strings. A green ray of light instantly hit Yi Lingyun in the sky, and Yi Lingyun only felt that his speed had been doubled. Okay, quick sword. Yi Lingyun was overjoyed, and the sword intent on his body immediately exploded. A sword rang. Yi Lingyun turned into a purple light. and instantly appeared in front of the Taijun. Puff! A sword pierced into the fierce mouth of the Iron Army, and a splash of bright red blood immediately flowed out of that place. But Yi Lingyun didn't have the slightest surprise, because the long sword just pierced the Tiejuan's skin and didn't penetrate it at all. Hey kid, it's interesting. Taijun looked at the long sword against his fierce mouth and grinned at Yi Lingyun. In the next second, he grabbed Yi Lingyun's head with one hand and threw it under the water fiercely. Bang! Chapter 0342. The Union of Yi Hongchen and Meng's Parting Bang. Yi Lingyun was thrown directly into the sea by the Iron Army, and he hadn't seen it rise for a long time. The other side, Yi Hongchen, Meng farewell to the two, also looking at the little Lolita in front of them, extremely solemn. Okay, you guys should also make a move. Otherwise, I can make a move. An apple suddenly appeared in little Lolita's hand, and she took a bite to herself, as if she didn't take Yi Hongchen and Meng parting seriously. One by one, or together, Yi Hongchen looked at Meng farewell beside her, raised her eyebrows, and said lightly, "If you lose, one of the four major forces must be destroyed." However, Meng farewell did not directly answer Yi Hongchen's words. Instead, he turned his head, looked at Yi Hongchen, and said a digression. Hearing this, Yi Hongchen was slightly startled and suddenly remembered the last words Yi Tianjue said. If you lose, then there will be a disaster in Dongzhou. So this is the so-called charcoal thing. Yi Hongchen's face was straightened, and she looked at the little Lolita in her eyes, but lost the previously interesting observation. Yes, only seriously. Yes. Meng farewell also looked solemn, nodded, and said coldly, "It is good." Yi Hongchen didn't say one more word, but it was enough for Meng farewell. Call. When the words fell, a faint gray-white light suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, and his whole body instantly disappeared above the sea. When Yi Hongchen disappeared, little Lolita threw away the apple, and a short sword appeared in her hand. It just fits her current figure. In the next second, a gray-white light suddenly appeared on little Lolita's left side, and Yi Hongchen directly punched Lolita's face. Go away! Little Lolita reacted very quickly, and she directly pointed her sword towards Yi Hongchen and shouted. The next moment, a red sword aura appeared directly in front of Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen was forced to retreat. It wasn't until 10 meters back that the sword was broken with a punch. I mean, heaven is coming. Before little Lori had time to be proud, a cold voice suddenly reached her ears. Wong buzzing. In the next second, dozens of white long swords suddenly appeared beside her. Once they appeared, they stabbed little Lori directly. Seeing this, little Lolita unexpectedly reappeared a short sword in her other hand, and she swung her hands quickly beside her. A round of pink sword aura suddenly appeared beside her, completely smashing the flying swords that had been pierced. Call. At this moment, Meng farewell directly pierced the little Lolita's throat with a sword, extremely fast, coupled with a sudden attack. It made little Lolita feel like she was in a hurry. At the end of the day, little Lolita quickly bent down, and the long sword of dreaming farewell directly cut the hair on her forehead. Meng fairly kicked directly on little Lolita's fierce mouth, and Xiao Lori was kicked into the sea by Meng Fairly's kick. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen slowly closed his eyes, and a huge sword intent suddenly appeared on his body. Above Yi Hongchen's head, blood-red mist suddenly condensed naturally. Meng farewell's feet lightly touched on the surface of the water, and the whole person retreated directly to Yi Hongchen's side. Just when Meng farewell just retreated, waves suddenly appeared above the water surface above the original position, and a little Lori wearing a small golden armor suddenly flew out of the water. Yi Hongchen's closed eyes suddenly opened. In the lifeless eyes, there was a ray of blood. Swordsmanship. Chapter 0343. The farewell to the dream and the changed swordsmanship. Just as Xiao Lori emerged from the water, Yi Hongchen held the star sword's hand on her waist and quickly pulled it out. Wow! In Yi Hongchen, the seawater between little Loli directly rose up inexplicably, and a jet of water rose. Little Lolita was completely blocked, and she couldn't break away from this blockade. It seemed that if she dared to move one step, she would die directly. Since I won't let me hide, let's see who is great. Little Lolita's eyes were full of anger. Seeing a sword glow appeared in front of her, the golden armor on little Lori suddenly slipped, revealing a white-pink dress. Unparalleled swordsmanship. The two daggers in little Lori's hand were crossed by her, and a dazzling white light suddenly appeared. In the next second, a bloody sword aura flew forward out of thin air. Bang! There was almost nothing. That sword aura shattered in an instant, and a strong pressure directly pressed on the double short swords that little Lori was blocking in front of him. It seems that she's about to crush her whole body, passing through her body. I won't lose. Little Lori bit her lips slightly. Her face turned pale. As if feeling the thoughts of little Lori, the two short swords she was holding suddenly burst out with a burst of blood-red light. The previous pressure on little Lolita was directly reduced by half, and Yi Hongchen, dressed in white, also slowly appeared in front of little Lolita. He was holding a blue long sword in his hand, and five-pointed stars were recessed on the body of the long sword. Unexpectedly, you would be able to block my sword-drawing skills in the early stage of your cultivation. Yi Hongchen looked at the little Lolita, who was much shorter in front of him, and said lightly, "There are many things you can't think of, such as..." Little Lori smiled contemptuously, and a pink light appeared again in her bright eyes. It's a pity that Yi Hongchen didn't lose sight of his eyes as before, but was still as lifeless as before. It's impossible to use the same technique a second time on me. Yi Hongchen smiled faintly, and the strength in his hand increased. Little Lolita's hand, holding the double-edged blade, was trembling. This is the reason why Yi Hongchen's offensive was almost unable to withstand Yi Hongchen's offensive. Then you can't beat me in this trick? Little Lolita looked a little ugly. Obviously, she didn't expect that in the confrontation with Yi Hongchen, she would fall into a disadvantage. You forgot I'm not alone. Yi Hongchen turned his head slightly. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words and the direction of her eyes, Xiao Lori immediately followed her gaze. There, Meng Baili raised his long sword with his forehand and pointed it at the sky, as if something was brewing. You people in Dongzhou will only do this kind of bullying. Little Lolita's big eyes were full of anger. At this moment, she couldn't do without this position at all. Once she has some action, after being defeated by Yi Hongchen, I am afraid that she will receive the sword of Yi Hongchen first. With this sword, little Lori had no guarantee in her heart that she would not get hurt. Boom! At this moment, a purple thunder and lightning suddenly slid down from the sky, hitting the long sword raised by Meng Farewell. Hey! A purple lightning circled her long sword, and a purple electric flower appeared from time to time. A thunderous wave also appeared in Meng Farewell, giving her a feeling of the thunder god in charge of thunder. Go! Meng Farewell glanced at Yi Hongchen and the little girl, and suddenly pierced out with a sword. Purple lightning appeared instantly, rushing directly to the little girl and Yi Hongchen. Chapter 0344. Yi Hongchen broke out with all his strength. Purple lightning appeared instantly, rushing directly to the little girl and Yi Hongchen. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen's heart suddenly tightened. He didn't expect that Meng Farewell would suddenly change his mind at this moment. Does she think that after solving this little lowly, the remaining two geniuses in Central Continent will be completely out of the question, and he doesn't need Yi Hongchen anymore? Seeing the lightning approaching Yi Hongchen, Meng Farewell remembered the scene in Wulangyuan. At that time, she desperately wanted to commit suicide. Yi Hongchen, this is what you asked for. Dream, don't say secretly in distraction. This trick, but she learned specifically, even if it is the second life of the Yuan Ing stage, the Yuan Ing, as long as it is hit by this thunder and lightning, the Yuan Ing will disappear with it. Are you going to die with me? Let's remove the strength together. Upon seeing this, little Lolita said with anxiety in her eyes. Chao Yi Hongchen said, "Didn't you just say that we in Dongzhou will only bully the less by more? Then I will show you what it means by bullying by less." Yi Hongchen ignored that little Lolita's words. A pair of gray eyes suddenly lit up. It seemed that there was life. Hum, hum, hum. In the next second, 3 five-pointed stars suddenly lit up on the sword body of Xingqian's sword. A powerful force that horrified little Lori instantly pushed her whole body away. The two blades in his hand suddenly broke at this moment. But little Lolita didn't care. Her eyes were full of Yi Hongchen. After Yi Hongchen hit the little Lolita, she turned around suddenly. A sword greeted that purple lightning. Boom! A burst of terrifying layway appeared in Yi Hongchen's position instantly. The seawater even rose directly above the sea surface, blocking Yi Hongchen's whole person. He actually pushed the genius away. Meng Farewell saw little Lori standing safe and sound above the water. Her eyes were full of shock. In my original imagination, the idea of one sword and two eagles was completely shattered by Yi Hongchen's move. Boom! At this moment, the water column rising above suddenly exploded. A white figure slowly walked out of the water. Because it was water that was exploded, a mist of water appeared there. So that person seemed to have a sense of sight of a fairy. Whirring. In the next second, the color of the entire sea surface, including the sea, faded completely, and what was left was an endless gray, colorless. An inexplicable coercion was directly pressed into the gray-white place. Even the three geniuses of Central Continent, in this gray and white scene, the body seems to have increased 8 times, and it is difficult to move. Of course, it is not only the geniuses of Central Continent that are restricted, even the people of Dongzhou are also within this restriction. Is he so strong? Little Lolita looked at her, the only Yi Hongchen who hadn't turned grayish-white. She was shocked. Suddenly, what Yi Hongchen said to him just appeared in her mind. Let you see what it means to deceive more with less. I didn't expect it, you can't kill me. Yi Hongchen stared indifferently at the dream farewell ahead with a pair of gray eyes. I didn't expect you to be so strong. Mengbi Li's face was still cold, but his eyes flickered. Miss, BD, you dare to hurt Miss. At this moment, Mo Qiansheng, who had just dyed the ink on the water, saw that the short swords in Lori's hands were broken, and his eyes were extremely red. He slashed directly towards Yi Hongchen, and a solid green python appeared behind him. Chapter 0345. The little Lolita with meaning. The water surface behind Yi Hongchen seemed to be shaken by Mo Qiansheng's offensive, and it was shaking violently at this moment like boiling. The geniuses of Zhongzhou? In my opinion, they're just a bunch of geniuses who claim to be superior. Yi Hongchen slowly turned around and looked at Mo Qiansheng, who was killing him. The gray eyes were full of coldness. Just like a ruthless killer, only killing can move them. When the words fell, Yi Hongchen lifted his foot directly, and the shadows of his legs appeared to follow his movements. Bang! Yi Hongchen kicked Mo Qiansheng's sword with great precision, and a wave of waves emerged from Mo Qiansheng's sword. Boom! The big knife is like glass, shattering instantly. Even the green snake shadow behind Mo Qiansheng also split with the sword when it shattered. The big knife was completely shattered, and the green snake shadow was completely dissipated. Mo Qiansheng's whole body was like being hit by a car, flying towards the back. Yi Hongchen's feet were a little above the surface of the water, and a trail of gray-white afterimages suddenly appeared behind him. In just 1 second, he appeared directly behind Mo Qiansheng, who flew out. Dragon Fist. Yi Hongchen punched directly behind Mo Qiansheng, and a gray-white light appeared on Mo Qiansheng's body. Hold head high. In the next second, a dragon chant sounded from his body, and the golden battle armor on Mo Qiansheng's body completely split with the dragon chant. A piece of clothing in a green long gown was exposed, and a stream of blood appeared at the corner of Mo Qiansheng's mouth. Go down. Yi Hongchen put his hands on Mo Qiansheng's shoulders and pressed heavily. Mo Qiansheng only felt that his body, as if carrying Mount Tai, was extremely heavy. Bang! Mo Qiansheng sank directly into the seawater, completely submerged and swallowed by the seawater. Dream farewell, little Lolita, Taijun, and Dongzhou's conscious Ning Shui, Qian Shuiying, Yi Lingyun, Huang Jinyan, Mo Ran, and a genius from the Tianxian Pavilion. Seeing Mo Qiansheng, who was still flaunting his might just now, he sank into the sea in such a dramatic way, unable to return to his senses for a long time. Yi Hongchen, unexpectedly, completely crushed Mo Qiansheng. Well, in this contest between the geniuses of Zhongzhou and Dongzhou, the geniuses of Dongzhou won, do you think? Yi Hongchen's whole body slowly fell above the water, and a column of water suddenly rose under his feet. The water column pushed Yi Hongchen up again, making him look down at the people below. Little Lori heard the words. Her expression on her face was uncertain, her eyes filled with struggle. If you can take my last move, then it's okay for me to recognize you. In the end, little Lolita didn't hesitate for long and said something directly towards Yi Hongchen. Obviously, she didn't want to admit that Dongzhou genius won or she lost. Come on. Yi Hongchen waved his hand forward and raised the corner of his mouth. The whole person fell in everyone's eyes, and there were only 2 words left. Crazy, arrogant. Soldier, be optimistic about them. Don't let them make trouble, especially her. Little Lolita said to the Iron Army who looked at war, as if she wanted to fight Yi Hongchen. Speaking of the last, I still look in the direction of the dream farewell intentionally or unintentionally, meaning something. Meng Bili's face was still stern, and there was no change at all because of little Lolita's words. Yes. Tai Jun took a deep look at Yi Hongchen and responded to little Lori. Wow. A column of water suddenly appeared under little Lolita's feet, supporting her to rise to the sky. Chapter 0346. Yi Hongchen versus little Lolita. It wasn't until the height of the red dust that same night that the water column under the feet of little Lori stopped rising and became solid. I have to admit, you are very strong, but I'm not bad at all, so be careful. Little Lori looked serious, looking at Yi Hongchen in front of her, and said in a condensed voice. Yi Hongchen did not speak, but a sword intent suddenly appeared on his body, and his right hand was slowly placed on the hilt of the star sword at his waist. He has proved with actions that he is serious. After the little Lolita's voice fell, a pair of little hands unexpectedly made a gesture in front of her. A white circle appeared directly in front of her. The sea water that was originally very stable can make people stand on the surface of the water easily, but now is surging crazily. Well, what's going on? I can't support it anymore. Mo Rant's body stepped on the water, suddenly shook, his face a little ugly. Of course, this ugly didn't last long because he saw Yi Lingyun, Ning Shui, and the 2 great Tianjiao, Qiang Shuiying, Huang Jinyan began to shake. Roar! In the next second, the roar of a beast suddenly appeared above the water. Shattering, roads of water soared from the sea, unexpectedly condensed in the air by themselves. Including the water column under little Lolita's feet, it was completely condensed into the body of water tumbling in the air. Without the support of the water column, little Lori slowly descended without waiting for her to fall into the water. A water dragon appeared directly, making her stand completely on the forehead of the water dragon. Roar! The water dragon roared at Yi Hongchen in front of him, and the water line directly emerged from the sea, all rushing towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen frowned when he saw this. After all, he was standing on the water column. If the water column was also controlled by little Lori, it would be really bad. Whirring. Seeing the water line hitting, Yi Hongchen remained motionless, but a gray-white colorless wall appeared beside him. Bang! 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 No matter how the water line hits the colorless wall, it can't break through at all, and it directly turns into water mist and disappears into the air. But little Lolita did not fully expect these water lines to directly defeat Yi Hongchen. What she was waiting for was when these water lines were broken, because once the water line was shattered, a fog was formed directly, which could completely block Yi Hongchen's line of sight. Even spiritual consciousness can't get past these mists. Roar! The water dragon roared and flew straight towards Yi Hongchen. Although Yi Hongchen could not see the water dragon, He could hear its voice, and the hand on the hilt of the sword around his waist suddenly swung out. Hum! A gray-white sword gas slammed forward instantly, and there it was the place where the water dragon rushed over. But the water dragon seemed to know that Yi Hongchen would definitely attack, and his extremely slender body suddenly disappeared from the sky. In the blink of an eye, he came directly behind Yi Hongchen and slapped Yi Hongchen with a paw. Yi Hongchen heard the strong wind coming from behind, stabbing his sword behind him. Bang! The point of the star sword directly touched the water dragon's claws, making its entire body completely unable to advance or retreat. Good chance. Seeing this, little Lolita was not surprised but rejoiced because the water dragon couldn't advance or retreat, and so was Yi Hongchen. In the next second, the water dragon suddenly opened his big mouth, and a water appeared from his mouth, shooting towards Yi Hongchen. Wow! Hearing the sound of a stream of water, Yi Hongchen frowned, holding the star sword in one hand, and suddenly protruding out his empty hand. A white long spear with a white dragon wrapped around the spear body suddenly appeared in his other hand. Chapter 0347. Ending amazingly, it is the white dragon spear. Yi Hongchen didn't think about it. He shot it out, and a long white dragon appeared in an instant, rushing towards the oncoming water. Bang! When the water flow touched the white dragon, it was directly destroyed by the impact, and Bai Long, still castrated, still slammed into the water dragon. What? A genius who is proficient in swords and spears. Little Lori couldn't help being shocked when she saw the white dragon spear in Yi Hongchen's hand. Wow! A Belongian's voice came into little Lori's ears, and the water dragon at little Lori's feet was instantly defeated by Bai Long. After all, this water dragon was only condensed by little Lori using a special technique. But the white dragon is a real dragon soul. Boom! Yi Hongchen quickly collected the white dragon spear into the Lord of Shuro ring, and Yi Lingyun, who was almost below, didn't even see that he still had the spear. After all, he didn't want Shura's identity to be exposed to them now. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's feet were a little above the water column, and the whole person suddenly rushed towards little Lori, stabbing with his sword. Without the water dragon, little Lolita has no support point for her whole body. She wants to fly, but the air is forbidden here, and she can't show up at all. She could only watch Yi Hongchen stabbed with a sword, and his bright eyes flickered slightly. At the next moment, a burst of pink light suddenly appeared in the eyes, suddenly shining. Pupil charm. When Yi Hongchen saw this, she didn't even think that little Lolita would not forget to use her pupil technique at this time, and it was too late to close her eyes. There was a blank in his mind, and he suddenly lost consciousness of the scene in front of him, but the body still rushed towards little Lolita. Come. Little Lolita subconsciously stabbed in Yi Hongchen and hurriedly ordered. Yi Hongchen, with dull eyes, quickly retracted the star, sword into her waist after little Lori's words fell and slammed into little Lori's body. Both of them fell into the sea. Yi Hongchen, miss! After seeing this situation, Ning Shuei, Yi Lingyun, and Tai Jun became worried and flew directly to the sea where they fell. But Yi Hongchen returned to consciousness after his body fell into the sea. Seeing the little Lolita, who was pressed down by his whole person, and the two of them were falling under the water, she felt convinced in her heart. A grayish-white light flashed on his body, and Yi Hongchen wanted to rush towards the water. But she didn't expect that little Lolita directly held his hands tightly with both hands. Her eyes were full of prayers, and her mouth kept bubbling, as if he was about to drown in water. Shut up your mouth, Yi Hongchen said to little Lolly when he saw this. After saying these words quickly, Yi Hongchen was choked by the water, and because of the water, the little Lolita didn't even hear what Yi Hongchen said. Even if it passed into her ears, it was still vague, and she didn't understand Yi Hongchen's meaning at all. Reluctantly, Yi Hongchen did not remove the hand held by little Lori's hands. With little Lori, he quickly rushed towards the surface of the water. Wow! In Ning Shui, Tai Jun just came to the place where the two fell. Yi Hongchen, little Lolita drilled directly out of the water. Moreover, Yi Hongchen moved extremely fast, directly using his spiritual power to control the surface of the water, allowing him to step on it steadily. Cough, cough, cough. As soon as little Lolita emerged from the water, she coughed up, one mouthful after another, splashed onto Yi Hongchen's white clothes. Just in time, Yi Hongchen also saw the Taijun in front of him, and threw the little Lolita in disgust. Chapter 0348. The magical scene just in time, Yi Hongchen also saw the Taijun who had just come to the front and threw little Lolita out with disgust. Little Lolita hadn't reacted yet. She was thrown into the air by Yi Hongchen. Fortunately, Taijun reacted quickly and caught little Lolita directly. It's disgusting. Yi Hongchen looked at all the soaked white clothes on her body, as if she had already smelled little Lori's saliva. There was a sudden chill. As soon as little Lori finished coughing, she saw Yi Hongchen's face with a chill, and she wanted to change her clothes directly, and she gritted her teeth fiercely. Now, your geniuses in Central Continent have lost, right? You can't beat me anyway. Yi Hongchen nodded slightly to Ning Shui, who was standing in front of him without saying a word, and then said to little Lolita, "Yes, your Dongzhou genius is really amazing. It's so amazing that only one person won." Little Lolita glanced at Yi Lingyun, Qian Shuiying, Huang Jinyan, Meng Farewell, and others who were still standing on the water, sneered. Boom! At this moment, a roar sounded from the sky, and in the next second, the sky seemed to have broken through a small hole and began to crack. By the way, my name is Ning Yuding, Yi Hongchen, and I remember you. Little Lolita turned her head and said to Yi Hongchen in front of her, "Rumble." In the next second, a cloud of white light directly illuminated Yi Hongchen and the others, including the geniuses who had emerged above the sea. There is nothing in front of me. After the sight was restored, an extremely magnificent palace appeared in Yi Hongchen's sight. Amazingly, it is the main palace of Juechen Palace. Among them, the number of people floating next to him was still 26, and there were no people from Dongzhou left, standing in the air with extremely clear consciousness. Well, what the hell is going on? How come back? And I don't seem to have any injuries to my body. Me too, but there is a feeling of weakness in the limbs, and a feeling of sleepiness. Yes, I now feel that as long as I close my eyes, I can fall asleep directly. At this moment, not only Yi Hongchen felt miraculous, but even the geniuses of the four major forces felt miraculous. Yi Hongchen, Farewell Dream, Qian Shuiying, Huang Jinyan suspended in front of 22 geniuses. Yi Hongchen, I will definitely kill you next time. There is no doubt about this. Meng Farewell looked at Yi Hongchen with murderous intent in his eyes, but his face was still cold. Then also see if you have that ability. Yi Hongchen's eyes are full of contempt. He now likes to see Meng Farewell's eyes that want to kill him, but can't kill him. That way, I always feel that she's not so cold. Welcome back, how about? Have we won? At this moment, there is a sound from above the mountain, which caused the people floating in the air to look sideways. At this moment, there were 4 people standing in front of the main palace. The Lord of Juechen Palace, Yi Tianzhu, Great Elder Jun Haoyan of Tianxian Pavilion, Raksha Gate Master Han Tian, Sec Master Huang Wenyue of Kinyu. And the sentence just now was amazingly what the Palace Lord of Juechen Palace, Yi Hongchen's cheap father, Yi Tianzhu, said. After seeing the people below, the genius above the sky hurriedly suppressed the doubts in his heart, and the surprise, including Yi Hongchen, all fell on the ground. Meet the Palace Master. Meet the Grand Elder. Meet the Sect Master. Meet the Sect Master. 26 people all became humane to their leaders. Okay, all get up. Have you won the Central Continent Genius this time? Yi Tianzhu hurriedly got everyone up and looked at Yi Hongchen nervously. Chapter 0349. Yi Hongchen is so terrifying following Yi Tianzhu's words. The other 3 powers, those who can call the shots, looked at the genius in front of them with a little nervous expression. I'm afraid they said a word that didn't win. Hearing Yi Tianzhu's questioning voice, all 25 geniuses looked at Yi Hongchen in unison. Even with a cold dream of parting, He looked at Yi Hongchen at this moment. I won. Yi Hongchen didn't say much when he saw it, and faintly spit out some words from his mouth. As Yi Hongchen's words fell, Yi Tianjue, Jun Haoyan, Han Tian, and Qin Yuezong's sect master Huang Wenyue, their complexions all loosened, and he let out a sigh of relief. 1. If you win, that's good. Chener Yi, come with me. Yi Tian absolutely calmed down. Chao Yi Hongchen, Ning Shui said. Then, he ordered the man wearing a black long coat behind him. You will give a gift to the distinguished guests later. Yes, Palace Master. Dear guests, I won't bother you much. I'm sorry for being impolite. Yi Tianjue smiled slightly at the people of the other three forces and said with a fist, It's okay. The Lord of the Night Palace, you are free. Anyway, I will also take the children back later. Haha, the Lord of the Night Palace, you are serious. I understand this kind of plot. Palace Master Knight, take care. The words of the three major powers heard Yi Tianjue's words, and all smiled, indicating that Yi Tianjue was casual. Yi Tianju saw this, and he didn't talk nonsense, and directly took Yi Hongchen with Ning Shui into the main palace. People from other forces also went back with their respective sect masters, and elders. As for the other geniuses in Juechen Palace, of course, they went back to their homes and went to their mothers. What? Yi Hongchen crushed 3 Zhongzhou geniuses alone? Lear, don't fool me. Elder, if you don't believe me, you can ask the other juniors and sisters. Meng Farewell saw the unbelieving appearance of the great elder Jun Haoyan and was too lazy to explain. The team that left directly left by himself. What? Jinyan, take this seriously? Yi Hongchen really defeated 3 Zhongzhou geniuses alone. On Qin Yuezong's side, something like Tianxian Pavilion was also happening. Sect Master Huang Wenyue looked extremely shocked, looking at Huang Jinyan as if Huang Jinyan was lying to him. Father, this matter is true. This earthly son, Yi Hongchen, is really terrifying. I'm afraid that his father will soon be caught up with him. What? Is this Yi Hongchen really so powerful? Han Tian, the master of Luosha Gate, was full of horror and asked Qian Shuiying in doubt. Sect Master, Shuiying's words are true. Each of the 3 Central Continent geniuses is comparable to a dream farewell. Qian Shuiying looked serious and explained to Han Tian, who was a little unbelievable. Then this Yi Hongchen is really a genius of Tianzong? Shuiying, if you have a chance, please make friends with him. Juechen Palace, the main palace. After Yi Hongchen and Ning Shui enter the main palace together with Yi Tianjue, they directly sat on the side seats that had been prepared a long time ago. It is also amazing to say that Yi Hongchen, who had been soaked all over her body, had recovered her clothes after appearing where she was originally. Chener, do you know what the consequences will be if our Dongzhou genius loses to the Zhongzhou genius? Yi Tianjue gently drew a glass of wine and asked Yi Hongchen somewhat broadly. I don't know. Yi Hongchen glanced at Ning Shui and said truthfully, if our Dongzhou genius loses, then the 4 major forces will become the 3 major forces. This is beyond doubt. Yi Tianjue's face was extremely serious and even a little pessimistic in his tone. Chapter 0350, Ning Shui's background why. Yi Hongchen had some doubts in his heart. Is it possible that there are other forces in Dongzhou that can fight one of the 4 major forces? Could it be that the people from Zhongzhou sent someone over? But this is completely impossible. Chener, do you know? In fact, our 4 major forces in East Continent correspond to a major force in Central Continent. Yi Tianjue shook his head slightly towards Yi Hongchen. Ning Shui said, and drank a glass of wine a little anxiously. In other words, our absolute dust palace is actually just a subsidiary force of Central Continent. Not only Juechen Palace, but also the other 3 powers are like this. Therefore, this time a genius of Central Continent, genius of Dongzhou will meet each other. One is to recruit a job who could be qualified to go to Central Continent. Second, it is what the 4 major forces are concerned about. If we lose, the main force on the Middle Continent will regard the cultivation of geniuses in the East Continent as inadequate. It will destroy the worst performing force, and then support another force. When Yi Hongchen heard Yi Tianjue's words, his heart sank slightly, with some doubts. It's all one continent. Why is the power of Central Continent so strong? Can't we unite with the other 3 continents to resist? Chen'er, Dongzhou, Shizhou, Nanzhou, and Beizhou's aura is extremely thin, and the highest level can be cultivated to the integration stage. As for Zhongzhou, it was a dog-like world in the fit period. You said, is it useful to join together? Yi Tianjue's face turned bitter, and when he said this, his face was a bit unwilling. When he heard the words of the old palace master for the first time, he was very unbelieving, even disapproving. But after a trip to Central Continent, he believed it and recognized the reality. Because he couldn't get along in Central Continent at all, he was sent directly to Dongzhou and inherited the position of the palace lord of Juechen Palace. Hearing Yi Tianjue's words, Yi Hongchen's face was expressionless. Well, I called you here today just to tell you that there are outsiders, and there are days outside the world. Even if you win the Zhongzhou genius, don't be proud. A smile appeared on Yi Tianjue's face again, looking at the expressionless Yi Hongchen with a smile. Just because he asked Dongzhou's genius if he had one, everyone looked at Yi Hongchen, and Yi Tianjue knew that Yi Hongchen had one. It's okay. Anyway, after defeating the Zhongzhou genius, there is nothing to be proud of. Yi Hongchen shrugged, stood up slowly, and said indifferently. Indeed, Yi Hongchen really had no place to be proud of, because his vision was too high. Master, so you called me. Is there anything wrong? Ning Shui, who had not heard Yi Tianjue talking to her, suddenly became a little confused. Apart from this genius contest, you have one more thing. After Yi Tianjue heard Ning Shui's words, he suddenly thought of Ning Shui and said with an embarrassing smile, "Oh, what can I do?" Ning Shui was a little puzzled when she heard the words. Your father sent someone to pick you up. Yi Tianjue looked at Ning Shui with a complicated face and said slowly. Hearing Yi Tianjue's words, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but looked at Ning Shui with some curiosity. Speaking of which, he really didn't understand Ning Shui's background. I used to think that Ning Shui had outstanding talents, and that Yi Tianjue liked him. Who sent it? Ning Shui heard the words. Her face was cold. Even her tone of voice was a little cold. Your third sister. Yi Tianjue had just finished speaking, and a man in black appeared directly in the temple like a ghost. Palace Master, there are 3 powerful cultivators who are forever breaking into the Palace of Great Dust. Chapter 0351. Mo Kingyun's face is lost. Palace Master, there are 3 powerful cultivators who are rushing into the Palace of Absolute Dust. A man in black appeared out of thin air, appeared in the center of the hall, knelt down on one knee, and said nothing. Strong into the Palace of Juechen? It's really interesting. Yi Hongchen heard the words. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he poured himself a glass of wine indifferently. Drink it all. I must be the one sent by your father. Sure, follow me. Yi Tianjue didn't care at all, but instead said to Ning Shui, Yi Hongchen, Juechen Palace is located at the foot of the mountain. The 3 of them stood in front of a group of disciples, elders, and a group of deacons. Close to 100 people in Juechen Palace, lying beside the 3 of them, groaning in pain. All said, we are here as guests. You have to stop us. Do you want to seek death? The person standing in the middle is a little girl who is less than 145 centimeters tall and has a fat baby on her face, but she is not ugly, but rather cute. And that sentence just now, surprisingly, was said by this little girl. Next to her, there was a strong man, a handsome young man who was somewhat thin. 3 people. Don't you know where this is? Juechen Palace. What are the consequences of forcibly breaking into Juechen Palace? Should I tell the 3? The second elder, Mo Kingyun's expression was a little ugly, and he looked at the 3 people standing in front of him and said in a deep voice. He also fought against these 3 people just now, but the brawny alone was still restrained, and it was not that easy to win the brawny. You know, he is about to reach the nascent soul stage. But this brawny man, although he was huge, his face was only 18 or 19 years old. Oh, What are the consequences? Could it be possible that the three of me could not commit suicide? When the little girl heard Mo Kingyun's words, she suddenly laughed and sneered at Mo Kingyun. It's a pity that when I went to participate in Zhongzhou, the genius of Dongzhou genius, then Do Lingyun, Yi Lingyun, Mo Dian, Tian Shui Han, Baluali all went to rest and closed up. Otherwise, if you were here, you will definitely be able to recognize the identities of these three people. It is the three geniuses of Zhongzhou, the strong man Tai Jun, Mo Qiansheng, and the little Lori Ning Yuding. Arrogant. When Mo Kingyun saw Ning Yuding despising him so much, he immediately lost his reason, and a terrifying sword intent on his body immediately condensed. Buzzing. The disciples of Juechen Palace. Whoever holds a sword in their hands, the swords in their hands are ringing, as if they have been summoned. I'll kill you, Mo Kingyun shouted angrily, wanting to pierce it with a sword. Bang, bang, bang. Three gray-white lights and shadows suddenly impacted in front of Mo Kingyun. The next second, a young man in white suddenly appeared in front of Mo Kingyun. This person is really Yi Hongchen. As soon as Yi Hongchen appeared, the star sword was unsheathed directly, and the sharp point of the sword had reached Mo Kingyun's throat for some time. Second elder, don't be impatient, Yi Hongchen said lightly, looking at the Mo Kingyun in front of him. Yi Hongchen, what are you doing? Didn't you see anyone rushing to the Palace of Great Dust? Are you in a group with them? Mo Kingyun saw the star sword reaching his throat. His eyes were full of anger, and he roared at Yi Hongchen. It can be said that he is the second elder of Juechen Palace. Today, in front of most of the disciples of Juechen Palace, his face is completely lost. First, he couldn't take three young people who had smashed into the palace of Juchon, and then he was pushed against his head by Yi Hongchen's sword. It was good that Mo Kingyun hadn't exploded now. Yi Hongchen slowly put the star sword into the scabbard around his waist, expressionless, and said lightly, "You can yell at me, but you have to listen to me, understand?" Chapter 0352. Enraged Ning Yuding, you can yell at me, but you have to listen to me, understand? Hearing Yi Hongchen's words and the look of his order, he directly exploded Mo Kingyun's lungs. I have seen the palace master. I have seen the young palace master. Before Mo Kingyun broke out, the disciples and deacon of Juechen Palace who hadn't said a word before knelt down and shouted. In the next second, Yi Tianjue, who was full of aristocratic temperament in a black long dress, and Ning Shui, who was wearing a core disciple costume, slowly walked from behind Mo Kingyun. After Mo Kingyun saw Yi Tianjue, even if he was dissatisfied with Yi Hongchen in his heart, he could only force it down. I have seen the palace master. Mo Kingyun lowered his head, so that Yi Tianjue did not see his face at all. After Yi Hongchen saw that Mo Kingyun had no such unconvincing attitude, he slowly turned around and faced the three geniuses in Zhongzhou. What catches the eye is that little fat baby face. Ning Yuding, it turned out to be you. Why? Forcibly breaking into my palace of absolute dust. Could it be that you lost and wanted to find a place back? The corners of Yi Hongchen's mouth rose slightly. His eyes were full of contempt, and he smiled lightly. As for Ning Yuding, Mo Qiansheng, and Tai Jun, after seeing Yi Hongchen appear before, their faces were not so pretty. After all, the fact that they lost to Yi Hongchen before was a fact, but now, after hearing Yi Hongchen's ridiculous remarks, Ning Yuding, who was the hottest-tempered, couldn't help it. Who do you think we are? Don't you admit it if you lose? Am I like that kind of cheeky person? Little Lolita, a baby with a fat white face, was flushed with Yi Hongchen's cheeks at the moment. Her cheeks bulged, and she shouted at Yi Hongchen. Hey, junior brothers and sisters, look. Does she look like? Yi Hongchen asked the disciple of Juechen Palace behind him with a big hand. His face was full of playfulness. Although the disciples of Juechen Palace felt that Yi Hongchen was trying to use them to build momentum, they were also very happy to help Yi Hongchen build momentum. Yes, look at her. Why doesn't she look like a shameless person? Yes, yes. You see, her bulging cheeks feel more like the fish we raised in the back mountain. Haha, don't tell me. It's true, and the fat on her face can be compared to a fat man. After the female disciple finished speaking, she smiled and pointed to a rather fat-looking disciple. Nonsense. Why could she compare to me? She is fatter than me. The fat man heard the words and shouted solemnly. After hearing Fatty's words, the disciples of Juechen Palace laughed. Even some deacon elders couldn't help but laugh. The little Lori Ning Yuding, who was already reddened by Yi Hong's dusty face, was ridiculed by so many people in Juechen Palace. Her petite body was trembling. That's angry. Oh, I'll leave you speechless forever. Little Lori shouted angrily. The next moment, she saw a move, a pair of double blades braving pink arrogance, like short swords, appeared in her hands. Fire dance Yaoyang. After that, a round of fireballs as big as 3 trucks suddenly appeared above her. The blazing temperature instantly heats people who have not reached the nascent infant stage into a torrent of sweat. The shadow shrouded directly on the disciple of Juechen Palace. This fireball, even I feel the threat of death. I can't catch it at all. Mo Qingyun secretly said as he looked at the fireball hanging in the sky. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun looked in front of him, and his anger dissipated in the eyes of Yi Hongchen, who was still standing. Chapter 0353. The child can't get used to it. That round of fireball, like the sun, hung in the air. Even if it doesn't fall, the oppressive force it brings to the people of the Palace of Absolute Shun is still strong. She still has this method. Standing behind Yi Tianjue, Ning Shui looked at the fireball in the sky, secretly surprised. She thought that in that sea area, Ning Yuding's water dragon trick was already her strongest method. Yes, it is possible to use such a martial skill to transform an entity with spiritual power. Different from other people's horror, fear, and fear, Yi Hongchen's face was still very flat, and even commented on Ning Yuding's tricks with great interest. There are many more you can't think of. Ning Yuding laughed angrily after hearing Yi Hongchen's words. In the next second, the raised hands suddenly swung towards Yi Hongchen, and the 2 blades exuded a burst of pink flame, becoming more and more prosperous. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The fireball hanging in the sky, following Ning Yuding's movements, suddenly flew down in the direction of Yi Hongchen. A hot wind rushed towards Yi Hongchen, causing his white hair to flutter backwards, and his white clothes were whirring. Chinner, can you take it? Yi Tianju saw this, and asked Yi Hongchen curiously. Reluctantly, although Yi Hongchen did not answer in the affirmative, his face was extremely confident. Yi Hongchen slowly raised his hands, looked at the palm of his hand, and muttered, "Speaking of which, I have obtained you for so long, and I haven't used it a few times." Yi Tianjue was not far from Yi Hongchen's location. Hearing Yi Hongchen's muttering words, he was a little confused. Just as the fireball was about to fall on Yi Hongchen's body, Yi Hongchen slowly raised his hands. In the next second, a burst of white light appeared on Yi Hongchen's body. A gloomy temperature suddenly swept everyone in the Juechen Palace behind him. Hoo-hoo-hoo. A white fireball appeared above Yi Hongchen's raised hands. The original cold temperature suddenly dissipated and replaced by a temperature even hotter than Ning Yuding's fireball. Every 3 seconds, the heat disappears again, and the cold temperature reappears. This is surprisingly the cold fire of Bai Ling obtained by Yi Hongchen. What? He actually has spiritual fire. Ning Yuding's vision was not low, and she was a little surprised when she saw the fireball appearing above Yi Hongchen. Although Bai Ling's cold body shape is not comparable to her Huo Wu Yaoyang, the power is beyond doubt. After the huge fireball collided with the cold fire of Yi Hongchen's Bai Ling, it gradually shrank. However, Bai Ling's cold body size is increasing at a rate at which the fireball becomes smaller. It seemed that Bai Ling's cold fire was devouring Ning Yuding's fireball. Wow! Only after about 15 breathing times, Ning Yuding's fireball had disappeared. Only the Bai Ling of Yi Hongchen appeared coldly in the sky. I'm fighting with you. Ning Yuding turned into anger when she saw that a martial art she had created had ended in this way. When he moved his feet, a pink ray of light appeared on the whole person, and he was divided into 3, and they were killed together towards Yi Hongchen. Child, Just can't get used to it. Yi Hongchan shook his head when he saw it. Call. Bai Linghua, hanging in the air, seemed to have heard Yi Hongchan's words and turned into three flames, welcoming the three Ning Yuding. In the middle, Ning Yuding on the left was completely destroyed by Bai Ling's cold fire, leaving only Ning Yuding on the right. That is her real body. Miss Tai Jun, Mo Qianshang, upon seeing this, rushed to Ning Yuding, trying to stop the collision between her and Bai Ling coldly. Chapter 0354. Educating Ning Yuding, however, even if Mo Qianshang and Tai Jun reacted so quickly, they couldn't keep up. Bai Ling cold fire directly ran into Ning Yuding. What? An extremely miserable scream came from Bai Ling's cold fire. It made the people who heard it horrified. If something happens to the young lady, the good days of your entire Juechen palace will come to an end. Mo Qianshang's face was extremely ugly, and Xiao Yi Hongchen said fiercely. Although the Iron Army did not speak, a pair of stout fists were clenched tightly. Yi Hongchen heard the words and moved his feet, and a series of gray afterimages suddenly appeared behind him. Call. It was just a breathing time. Yi Hongchen suddenly came to Mo Qianshang, and his left foot suddenly kicked at Mo Qianshang. Dragon Shadow. The shadow of the legs had just appeared, as if Yi Hongchen had just lifted up, but Mo Qianshang had already flown upside down. He smashed it heavily on a wall. The stone wall was smashed by him, and the slag was crushed on Mo Qianshang. But Yi Hongchen had nowhere to go. But immediately after that, Tai Jun took his enlarged body and flew in the direction of Mo Qianshang. All this is only 3 seconds, except for Yi Tianjue's ability to clearly see Yi Hongchen's movements. Juechen Palace could not be seen by everyone. Sorry, I hate others threatening me the most. An indifferent voice sounded, and Yi Hongchen, dressed in white, appeared beside Bai Linghua like a ghost, faintly towards Mo Qianshang and Tai Jundao lying on the ground. After speaking, Yi Hongchen didn't care about the reaction of the two of them, and slowly stretched out his hand and plunged into Bai Ling's cold fire. Hu. Bai Ling's cold fire gradually dissipated, and Yi Hongchen appeared in front of everyone with Ning Yuding's neck in one hand. Let go of me. Ning Yuding waved her feet in the air, holding Yi Hongchen's hands in both hands, and shouted fiercely towards Yi Hongchen. At this moment, Ning Yuding's face was a little scorched and red, and even the clothes on her body were burned torn. This is because Yi Hongchen deliberately controlled his power at the moment when Bai Ling's cold fire hit Ning Yuding. Otherwise, let alone whether Ning Yuding's clothes could exist, even her people may not be able to appear in front of Yi Hongchen intact. Okay, Chin'er, the person I mentioned earlier should be this person. At this time, Yi Tianjue pretended to be helpless, walked to Yi Hongchen, and said with some guilt, Palace Master, even if he is here to pick up people, he must not be merciless if he forcibly enters our palace of Juechen. Yi Hongchen didn't use the slightest expression on his face when he heard the words, not even a look of surprise in his eyes, as if he had known it a long time ago. The fact is that Yi Hongchen had already guessed it. After all, Yi Tianjue had just told him on the front foot that someone had come to Juechen Palace to make trouble. If there is no connection at all, he would not believe in killing Yi Hongchen. As soon as the voice fell, Yi Hongchen directly supported Ning Yuding with one hand and slapped her on the hip with the other hand. Snapped. A slap sound sounded. It could be seen that Yi Hongchen's slap did not show mercy. You! How dare you do this to me? I must kill you. Kill! Snapped. Yi Hongchen slapped Ning Yuding 10 slaps, during which time, after Ning Yuding was beaten by Yi Hongchen for the 3rd time, she learned to behave. He was not threatening Yi Hongchen, but was silent and said nothing. Because every time she said something, Yi Hongchen's attack became more ruthless. After doing all this, Yi Hongchen directly threw Ning Yuding on the ground and looked down at her. Since I'm here to pick up people, I have to look like a guest, you know? Chapter 0355. Reunion. Since I'm here to pick up people, I have to look like a guest, you know? Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ning Yuding still bit her lip without speaking. A pair of bright eyes, as if there were tears, flooded inside, but stubbornly did not flow down. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he ignored Ning Yuting and walked straight to Juechen Palace. The person in front hurriedly gave up away. Why do I think that the young palace master teaches children so good-looking? I really want to be educated by him. A female disciple looked at Yi Hongchen's back with gold stars in her eyes. Cut. First of all, you're not that kind of kid anymore, and secondly, even if you are probably killed by the young palace master with a single move. Yi Tianjue looked at Ning Yuting, who was slowly standing up, with a kind smile on his face. You are Miss Ning Yuting? Oh, your father has already ordered me to entertain you well. Entertainment? So you let that BD treat me this way? Is this how my father asked you to entertain me? As soon as Ning Yuting heard Yi Tianjue's words, the anger she had suffered in front of Yi Hongchen almost broke out. If Ms. Ning is angry, I will bring Chun'er to Ms. Ning directly later and let you teach it a lesson. Yi Tianjue's face suddenly became extremely embarrassed and said angrily like Ning Yuting. Okay, I'm here to pick up my second sister. Where's my second sister? Although Ning Yuting felt that Yi Tianjue's words were very tempting, when she thought of Yi Hongchen, she felt a panic of fear, and she immediately put aside such tempting thoughts. Yi, come here. Yi Tianjue heard this and immediately waved to Ning Shui, who had been standing silently. Ning Shui walked slowly, looking at Ning Yuting in front of him. She didn't want to admit that this little lowly turned out to be the one who came to pick her up. Moreover, judging from the words just now, she is still Ning Yuting's second sister. It turned out to be you. After Ning Yuting saw Ning Shui, she suddenly remembered that she had met Ning Shui before in the fight. However, Ning Shui's cultivation is really bad, so the impression is not very deep. Okay, there's so many people here, let's go up and talk. Yi Tianjue glanced at the elder of the Juechen Palace, disciple who was curious, craned his neck to listen, and couldn't help but feel a headache. Ning Yuting nodded when she heard the words. Now when she saw these people, she remembered what they had just said and witnessed her being educated by Yi Hongchen. I really want to kill all these people directly. Why are you two still lying on the ground? Do you want me to help you? Ning Yuting said angrily after seeing Mo Qiansheng, while Tai Jun was still lying on the ground. And her words were like imperial edicts, and the two of them swished and stood up. Juechen Palace, the main palace. Above the hall, there were only Yi Hongchen, Mo Qiansheng, and Tai Jun. The three of them were drinking and chatting, as if they had forgotten their previous unhappiness. Yi Tianjue, Ning Shui, Ning Yuting, and the three of them went to Yi Tianjue's study and didn't know what to say. Instead, it was Yi Hongchen, Mo Qiansheng, and Tai Jun, all of whom had lost their previous strangeness at this moment. Brother Hongchen, when I saw you earlier, I felt that you were very different. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. After Mo Qiansheng respected Yi Hongchen for a glass of wine, his eyes were full of admiration. Just because Yi Hongchen beat him up again just now, he just obeyed. Yes, in our middle continent, Brother Hongchen is also a top genius. Tai Jun agreed with Mo Qiansheng's words very much. Chapter 0356. Can you accept me as a disciple? The two are too acclaimed. I was able to achieve this only because of the adventure I got. Yi Hongchen didn't care when he heard what the two said. After drinking a glass of wine, Yi Hongchen said lightly, Don't say that. We have absolutely no intention of flattering, just telling the truth. Mo Qiansheng waved his hand after seeing Yi Hongchen being so humble. Don't say this. I am a little confused about something. Yi Hongchen shook his head, put down the wine glass in his hand, and looked at Mo Qiansheng and Tai Jun. Brother Hongchen has doubts, but it's okay to say that. I should tell it. Tai Jun didn't wait for Yi Hongchen to say the problem, and responded directly and happily. The genius of Central Continent. What kind of cultivation is generally at this age? Yi Hongchen asked directly without oblivious to the words. After all, Yi Tianjue said that Central Continent is a place where there are as many as a dog. At this age, the tallest person at this age now is the cultivation base of the infant bearing stage at the beginning of the fit. In the early stage of the fit, Yi Hongchen lowered his head slightly, thinking a little bit. 16 or 17-year-old strongman at the beginning of the fit. It could be compared with the old palace owner of his absolute Chun Palace. Mo Qiansheng seemed to know what Yi Hongchen was thinking, and he immediately comforted, "Brother Hongchen, don't be discouraged. After all, Zhongzhou's aura is extremely rich. Brother Hongchen can reach this level of cultivation in such a place with sparse spiritual energy, and he must have reached Central Continent, and he will surely be able to soar into the sky. Yes, but there is one thing I must tell you. The genius of Central Continent, but unlike other continents, they have a bloodline." Taijun also started to console Yi Hongchen. At the end, he seemed to have forgotten to explain. "Ahem, what are you talking about?" At this moment, a voice came from outside the door, and the next second, one large and one small figure appeared at the door. Ning Xuei in the clothes of the core disciple of Juechen Palace, and Ning Yuding in the pink clothes full of girlish hearts. "Miss," Mo Qiansheng, Taijun, upon seeing this, got up from his seat and said to Ning Yuding, "Come on, I'm not forbidden to let you sit." Ning Yuding waved her hand slightly and went directly to Yi Hongchen's table. "Then what? Yi Hongchen, are you willing to accept me as a disciple?" Ning Yuding seemed a little embarrassed. Although she said loudly, her eyes did not dare to look at Yi Hongchen's. "What are you talking about?" Yi Hongchen frowned when he heard the words, thinking that he had heard him wrong. Worship him as a teacher? Can this be taken seriously? A person who is not very different in strength should worship him as a teacher? "Miss, are you serious?" Patriarch sighed. "Miss, wouldn't you let us go back and get beaten by doing this? Don't mess around." Both Mo Qiansheng and Taijun couldn't believe it, and they spoke one after another. "Don't talk." Ning Yuding's face was blue and suddenly shouted to the two of them. After turning his head, the expression on his face became extremely well-behaved, and he whispered towards Yi Hongchen, "What I said is true, are you willing to accept me as a disciple?" Yi Hongchen stared at Ning Yuding for 8 seconds, and then slowly stood up from the seat after Ning Yuding didn't dare to look into his eyes. Accepting the geniuses of Central Continent as a disciple is a troublesome thing, and I have no advantage. Why do I do it? Looking at Yi Hongchen's back to her, Ning Yuding's eyes slowly turned red, and she didn't know how to take Yi Hongchen's words. At this time, Ning Xuei, who noticed Ning Yuding's expression, went straight to Yi Hongchen's side. "Yi Hongchen, let's talk." Chapter 0357. Promise Ning Xuei. "Yi Hongchen, let's talk." Ning Xuei walked to the side of Yi Hongchen and said slowly. Yi Hongchen glanced at Ning Xuei, instinctively wanting to refuse, but after meeting her eyes, especially the tears gleaming in her eye sockets, he nodded subconsciously. After seeing Yi Hongchen nodding, Ning Xuei suddenly showed an unprecedented smile on her face. Very sweet. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's hand was directly held by Ning Xuei and walked outside the palace gate. Yi Hongchen and Ning Xuei's backs appeared in the sight of Ning Yuding, Mo Qiansheng, and Taijun. It's really a pair of talented men and women. Mo Qiansheng sighed sincerely after the two of them walked out. But Ning Yuding, who pretended to be poor, shook her head slightly, as if she was sorry for something. Outside the palace, under a big tree full of green leaves, Ning Xuei and Yi Hongchen stood there. "Let's talk, what's the matter?" Yi Hongchen slowly said as he looked at Ning Xuei, who was shorter than him. "Master told me that I am a direct disciple of the Ning family of Zhongzhou and the second daughter of the head of the Ning family. Ning Yuding is my fourth sister and also the youngest child of the Ning family." Yi Hongchen raised her eyebrows slightly and said lightly, "What's up with me again?" She came to participate in this Zhongzhou Genius Contest. Is a big power disciple gambling. If she wins, then she will break the marriage contract with this disciple. Having said this, Ning Xuei turned her head slightly and looked at the main palace, her eyes full of apology. But she lost, so she has to abide by the marriage contract with that powerful disciple, right? Yi Hongchen almost rolled his eyes. How old does Ning Yuding look like? Is there a marriage contract? And it looks like a baby, and resistance is normal. Yes, that's why she wants to worship you as a teacher. The purpose is to stay in Dongzhou. What she wants is just a reason. Therefore, I hope you can help her. After all, I haven't said that you are Shura. Isn't it okay to pay me back? Ning Shui stared at Yi Hongchan tightly, as if Yi Hongchan didn't help her, she would tell that he was Shura's secret. Are you threatening me? Yi Hongchan's eyes slowly drooped, feeling very uncomfortable in his heart. It's not a threat. It's just that I know the feeling that I like someone, but I can't get it. Therefore, I can't let the fourth sister experience this feeling. After Ning Shui finished speaking, she jumped directly into Yi Hongchan's arms. With his arms around Yi Hongchan's waist tightly, a nice face was buried in Yi Hongchan's fierce mouth. Yi Hongchen was stunned by Ning Shui's sudden behavior, and he was stunned. All right, Yi Hongchen said for a long time, accepting Ning Shui's words. Upon hearing this, Ning Shui hurriedly got up from Yi Hongchen's arms and quickly kissed Yi Hongchen's side face. It's like a dragonfly tapping the water, and it will be divided at the touch of a touch. After doing all this, Ning Shui directly used her body technique and hurried back to the main palace. Yi Hongchen slowly raised his right hand and pressed it to the place where Ning Shui was close to him, his face a little helpless. Thinking of what Ning Shui said just now, he knew that the kind of feeling Ning Shui said was that she couldn't get the feeling of Yi Hongchen. Chinner, she's indeed a good girl, but for my father, she feels that she is better than dreaming. I don't know when Yi Tianjue suddenly appeared behind Yi Hongchen and sighed faintly. You are an old and disrespectful person. How long have you been listening here? Yi Hongchen's expression returned to indifferent again, with no good air. Chapter 0358, Treasures of Yi Hongchen. It didn't take long. That is, when you first came, I was already here. A sly smile appeared on Yi Tianjue's face, as if he had done something glorious. If you let other people who know Yi Tianjue on Dongzhou see his expression, they will be shocked. The palace lord of the Dignity Palace. Unexpectedly. Also, I can't tell Meng farewell to her. Yi Hongchen looked at the flying leaves above her head, her eyes a little complicated. It's the complicated parting of dreams. Although he did not have feelings for her, he still wanted her body in a daze, didn't he? If she really married another man, it is estimated that Yi Hongchen would not be able to sleep. Okay, why don't you go in and give a reply to the genius in Zhongzhou, so that people don't think about it. However, Yi Tianjue didn't give Yi Hongchen extra time. He waved his hand and said impatiently, Palace Master, I want to really accept her as a disciple. It is estimated that our Juechen Palace will not have a good time. Yi Hongchen turned around, facing Yi Tianjue, and said in a condensed voice, from Ning Shui's words, the disciple of the big power shouldn't be so reluctant to give up, right? That would definitely come to him, or the trouble of Juechen Palace. Don't worry, do you think that the Ning family's forces in Zhongzhou are still not fighting? But he doesn't have that long hand in. Oh, what else could Yi Hongchen say when Yi Tian never cared? He could only say a little, and then walk towards the main palace. As soon as I entered the main palace, I saw Ning Shui and Ning Yuding's two sisters were chatting, and Ning Shui's ears were still a little blush. Yi Ba, Master. When Ning Yuding saw Yi Hongchen, she wanted to say hello, blurting out she wanted to call Yi Hongchen, but she stopped again. Yi Hongchen heard this, although he felt a little uncomfortable. After all, his body was only about 17 years old. Became a master? Okay, I don't have anything to teach you. Don't come to me after training. Yi Hongchen waved his hand impatiently, said directly to Ning Yuding, and then walked out of the main palace again. Seeing Ning Yuding still staying in the main palace, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but stopped, turned his head, and said lightly, Apprentice, this is the place of the palace lord. Come with master. Ning Yuding, Ning Shui, Mo Qiansheng, Taijun. They really didn't expect that there was a Yi Hongchen on the front foot that I wouldn't care about you, and in the next second, they would just take care of it. Wait for me. Ning Yuding curled her lips slightly, but after seeing Yi Hongchen's sharp eyes, she hurriedly followed. I wish you a safe journey to Central Continent. After Yi Hongchen said the last sentence, he took Ning Yuding and left the main palace together and returned to the Hongchen Palace. Red Palace. As soon as Yi Hongchen returned to the Hongchen Palace, Ahu, who was stronger than the Iron Army, greeted him and said respectfully, "My son, Ahu, you have worked hard these days." Yi Hongchen nodded and said to Ahu, "Indeed, since he came back, Hongchen Palace has not been taking care of it, and everything has been handed over to Ahu. But now, on his way back to the Red Dust Palace, everyone who saw him worshipped him and greeted him, and his cultivation level was rising day by day. Obviously, this is inseparable from Ahu's management. Hey son, this is what Ahu should do." Ahu smiled shyly, and soon saw Ning Yuting following Yi Hongchen. "My son, who is she?" Ahu hadn't been to the feet of Jiuechen Palace before, so naturally he had never seen Ning Yuting. "She is one of my apprentices." Chapter 0359. What you can't learn. She is a disciple I accepted, named Ning Yuting. Yi Hongchen put one hand directly on Ning Yuting's shoulder and pulled to the side to introduce. "By the way, this is Ahu, a right-hand man for the teacher." Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ning Yuting opened her mouth, showing a bunch of white teeth, and smiled. "I have seen Uncle Tiger." Hearing Ning Yuting's words, Ahu was taken aback for a moment, feeling a little at a loss. The young master's personal disciple actually called him uncle? This makes him a little flattered. Yi Hongchen saw Ahu's stinky look, glanced at it, and kicked Ahu's leg with an angry kick. "Why didn't I say a word for you?" Yes, Yuting." Ahu was immediately regained when he was called by Yi Hongchen. But after talking about this, she didn't know how to call Ning Yuting anymore, and she fell into an awkward situation again. "If Uncle Tiger doesn't dislike it, you can call me Ting." After seeing Ahu so naive, Ning Yuting immediately exposed her tiger teeth and said very sensibly, "Ting, good, good. Okay, Ahu, I will take her to get acquainted with the Hongchen Palace first, and you'll have to take care of her in the future." Yi Hongchen smiled indifferently. "What about you, master?" Ning Yuting asked with a pair of bright eyes when he heard the words. "Naturally, I practice in retreat. Otherwise, when your cultivation level surpasses me, how can I be your master?" Yi Hongchen shook his head and walked directly in, leading Ning Yuting to familiarize himself with the location and furnishings of the Hongchen Palace. And Ahu saw Ning Yuting's well-behaved and sensible appearance, and secretly said, "It seems that the apprentice of the master is not the kind of guy who makes trouble." It's a pity that after Yi Hongchen was in retreat, Ahu could no longer remember what he was saying secretly now. Of course, this is only an afterthought. During the period, the two of Jasper and Xiuhua were called, and they were familiar with them. In the end, the guy shouting also jumped out, and the result was miserable. Ning Yuting, who was still 12 years old, immediately grabbed it and started playing together. "Ye great God! Help! Help!" Yi Hongchen was taking a bath, and suddenly heard Xiaoking's painful cry from outside the door. "PS off." Before Xiaoking broke in, Yi Hongchen shot out with a mental attack. Xiaoking, who had just arrived at the door, flew upside down and fell severely in front of Ning Yuting, who was running over. Xiaoking, you hate me. Good fellow, see if I don't change your green skin." Little Lori said to Xiaoking fiercely, and then directly grabbed Xiaoking and took him to an unknown place. Night. Yi Hongchen, who was eating, suddenly heard Ning Yuting's questioning. "Master, what kind of swordsmanship is your swordsmanship? It feels so powerful." Ning Yuting stared at Venus, as if Yi Hongchen's swordsmanship was really so powerful. "What? Do you want to learn?" Yi Hongchen looked at Ning Yuting and said casually, I want to learn." Ning Yuting nodded hurriedly. "Are you talking about drawing swordsmanship, wind and wave swordsmanship, or Jian Yujue?" "That's the kind. With a sword drawn, the speed is so fast that it breaks my water dragon swordsmanship in one fell swoop." "Oh, that sword drawing, you can't learn it." Yi Hongchen heard this, and suddenly remembered the scene where he broke the water dragon with a sword, and said slowly, "I don't believe it. You obviously don't want to teach me." Ning Yuting curled her lips slightly, not believing Yi Hongchen's words at all. After all, she was in Central Continent, and even the martial arts of the holy rank had been learned. Chapter 0360. Teaching Ning Yuting sword art. After all, she had learned even the martial arts of the holy rank in Zhongzhou, but she didn't believe it, and she couldn't learn Yi Hongchen's sword drawing skills. Then you come with me. Yi Hongchen nodded. This is his own sword technique, and there are few people who can learn it, because this is a swordsmanship tailored for himself. Ning Yuding held her head high and looked proud, and followed Yi Hongchen to a spacious place. You are optimistic about my movements, because this is my own swordsmanship and I don't know how to teach it. Yi Hongchen reminded Ning Yuding. His hand slammed on the hilt of the sword on his waist. This is not the reason Yi Hongchen came up with not wanting to teach Ning Yuding, but the truth. He can only use it, not teach it. Ning Yuding nodded. With bright eyes, her black pupils slowly changed into pink pupils. After Yi Hongchen put his hands on the hilt, an overwhelming sword intent instantly filled his body. Above the dark night sky, there seemed to be clusters of red light. Swordsmanship. In Yi Hongchen's eyes, a white light suddenly appeared, and in the next second, a series of gray-white afterimages appeared behind Yi Hongchen. Ho. Yi Hongchen suddenly disappeared in place, so fast that Ning Yuding could not catch it. The next moment, a gray-white sword glow appeared on the sky, brightening the entire dark sky. Boom! Jian Meng seemed to have cut through the sky, and Yi Hongchen's figure gradually appeared above the sky, before Ning Yuding's eyes. Well, how did this happen? There is no warning at all. Ning Yuding looked at Yi Hongchen, who was gradually descending, her expression a little ugly. Feeling unable to start, what should she do? How is it? Have you seen anything famous? Yi Hongchen's face was indifferent, the corner of his mouth raised, and she asked Ning Yuding. Looking at Yi Hongchen's smile, Ning Yuding only felt that there were no two words, so it was difficult to say it. No. After Yi Hongchen couldn't hear Ning Yuding's voice for a long time, he immediately shook his head. Who said it? It's so simple, how could I not? Master, just watch it. When she saw Yi Hongchen shook her head, Ning Yuding's heart felt unconvinced. Her head heated up, and she hurriedly said, Then please use the sword drawing technique to attack me. Yi Hongchen threw the Xingqian sword directly to Xiang Ning Yuding, with the hilt on his waist. After Ning Yuding took over the Xingqian sword, Yi Hongchen put one hand behind her back, and the other hand gestured for invitation. Ning Yuding looked at the star sword in her hand. Especially when she felt the coolness on the hilt, she felt her scalp numb. But things have reached this point, and it is impossible for Ning Yuding to give up directly. Suddenly, holding the scabbard in one hand and the hilt with the other hand, he slowly closed his eyes, recalling the steps of Yi Hongchen in his mind. First, Jinny. Thinking of this, Ning Yuding immediately released her double-edged sword intent. Of course, it was only a single-edged sword. She was able to use the single-edged sword intent of the double-edged sword. It seems that her talent is definitely not low. Feeling the sword intent on Ning Yuding's body, Yi Hongchen said inwardly. Just when Yi Hongchen affirmed Ning Yuding in her heart, Ning Yuding suddenly opened her eyes. A pink light appeared in her eyes instantly, and the sword intent on her body suddenly became restless. In the next second, the star sword was suddenly pulled out by her, and a sword pierced towards Yi Hongchen. Call! A pink light appeared on Ning Yuding, and Ning Yuding suddenly disappeared. Chapter 0361. Unqualified Master Hum. Yi Hongchen only felt that a sword sounded in front of him. Without thinking about it, I just poke it out. In the next second, Ning Yuding's figure suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, and a sword pierced Yi Hongchen's fierce mouth. Unfortunately, as soon as he came out, the star sword was directly clamped by Yi Hongchen with his index and middle fingers. If Ning Yuding couldn't move forward or retreat, she couldn't move forward at all. It seemed that there was a big mountain ahead, which made her completely unable to climb over. The emptiness is obvious. Even the sword light hasn't been triggered. Yi Hongchen said coldly, while looking at Ning Yuding in front of him. When the words fell, a terrifying sword intent appeared on Yi Hongchen. With the other hand of Yi Hongchen, he used the sword to refer to Ning Yuding's throat. At this moment, Yi Hongchen's fingers fell in Ning Yuding's eyes, as if it were a sharp sword. No! Ning Yuding closed her eyes in fright, thinking that Yi Hongchen was going to kill her. But Yi Hongchen's fingers just touched Ning Yuding's throat and stopped. Looking at the front, Ning Yuting, who had already closed her eyes, snatched the star sword and the scabbard in her other hand without saying a word. You are my apprentice and won't kill you. But you have to know that what I hate most is swollen face to fill a fat man. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ning Yuting slowly opened her eyes, staring at Yi Hongchen, who was close at hand. An extremely handsome face, extremely indifferent, a pair of gray eyes, lifeless, as if nothing could arouse his interest. She has long, snow-white hair that looks very dazzling in the dark, yet there's a kind of unusual tenderness. So no, yes, you know. Yi Hongchen looked at Ning Yuting, who seemed to be listening to his teaching, and continued. At this moment, Yi Hongchen didn't have much resistance to teaching people. Instead, he had some enjoyment. I know. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ning Yuting slowly lowered her head and said in a low voice. When Yi Hongchen saw Ning Yuting's attitude, he thought that what he said had hurt Ning Yuting a bit. His expression slowed down, and he leaned out and pressed against her little head. Well, you don't know my habits as long as you don't commit it again next time. After speaking, without waiting for Ning Yuting to reply, Yi Hongchen went straight to the direction where he had been retreating before. I'm going to retreat. As long as it's not absolute Qin Palace. Hongchen Palace is going to be destroyed. Don't bother me. Remember to notify Ahu. Yi Hongchen waved his hand slightly and suddenly disappeared from Ning Yuting's sight when he moved. Ning Yuting looked at the afterimage of Yi Hongchen, feeling a little hot on her face, and muttered, "Leave without finishing teaching. This master is really unqualified." After finishing speaking, he also left here directly and walked to her bedroom, Tingdian. As soon as Yi Hongchen came to the retreat room, he directly sealed all the space and took out a psychedelic array from the Shura Lord of the Rings. As long as they are not the cultivators at the peak of the later stage of the Golden Core, they will not be able to enter this psychedelic array at all. Of course, apart from the formations. Now, there's nothing particularly important. You can go to another world. Yi Hongchen slowly breathed a sigh of relief, and his consciousness dived directly into the sea of knowledge, feeling a little excited in his heart. Soon, there was a light group, and a green continent could be faintly seen in the light group, and it suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's eyes. Yi Hongchen slowly stretched out his hand, penetrated into the light group, and muttered, "The Luo continent, I'm here." Chapter 0362. I'm coming to the mainland. Yi Hongchen slowly stretched out his hand, put his hand into the light group, and muttered, "The Luo continent, I'm here. Ding, are you going to the world?" Just as Yi Hongchen's hand reached into the light ball, the electronic sound of the system suddenly sounded. Yes. When the words fell, a white light suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, instantly devouring Yi Hongchen's whole person. In less than 2 seconds, Yi Hongchen's body suddenly disappeared in the closed room. The next day, early morning, Ning Yuting brought Ning Yuekui, Mo Qiansheng, and Tai Jun to Yi Hongchen's retreat. Master is here to retreat, saying anything. Unless Juechen Palace is about to be destroyed, don't bother him. Ning Yuting pointed to the closed retreat room in front and said to Ning Yuekui, "Since he has said so, then I won't say goodbye to him." Ning Yuekui nodded and went directly to Mo Qiansheng, and Tai Jun left. Upon seeing this, Ning Yuting suddenly revealed a sly emotion in her eyes. Now, finally, there are no people who can restrain me. You can let yourself go. On the second day after Yi Hongchen went to Doluo continent, everyone in Juechen Palace had seen the witch. After Yi Hongchen's body was completely swallowed by the white light, there was a white light in front of him, and the whole person lost consciousness. When he opened his eyes again, an extremely beautiful woman appeared directly in front of him. Her long silver hair seemed to have crossed her waist, and a pair of silver-white pupils appeared extremely deep. She was wearing an unknown white-hair dress, covering her body, and she looked a bit sexy. And all around was a snow-white color. That's all ice and snow. It is hard to imagine that this woman can withstand the severe cold at the moment by wearing such a little dress. Okay, little guy, I can only send you here. Next, you have to survive outside, and don't lose my reputation as Snow Emperor. At this moment, the woman spoke, but her voice was extremely indifferent, like a block of ice. Yi Hongchun only felt that her whole body followed her words. It's getting cold. When the words were over, the woman slowly walked towards the ice and snow and disappeared in Yi Hongchun's eyes after just 2 breathing times. Snow Emperor. In the entire Doluo continent, which one claims to be Snow Emperor, there is nothing more than one of the 3 overlords in the far north. Snow Emperor. Good guy, that's a super fierce beast with the ultimate ice attribute. Ding, mission release. Become the strongest person in the world and become a god. Task time, within 10 years. Success reward. After returning to the main world, have all the cultivation base of this world. Failure penalty, bad luck for a lifetime. At this moment, the electronic sound of the system reappeared in Yi Hongchun's mind. It's quite tempting. Yi Hongchun slowly shook his head, turned around, and walked straight ahead. Although the front is still white, but Shuadi just said that she personally sent him here. The purpose is to make him famous outside. Therefore, the front must be the end of the far north. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Yi Hongchun to see a forest towering into the clouds directly in front of Yi Hongchun's eyes. A green patch of green, and from time to time, a few terrifying beasts sounded. Yi Hongchun walked directly into the forest without any hesitation, and he was also a bold man. Why is this tree so high? Yi Hongchun looked in front of him and shook his head slightly after he was less than 1/10 of it. Soon, when passing by a lake, Yi Hongchun was stunned when he saw the reflection in the lake, because there was a kid who was about 7 or 8 years old inside. Chapter 0363. I'm sorry, Yi Hongchun touched his extremely immature face with some disbelief, and the children in the river moved with Yi Hongchun's movements. It took 3 full minutes before Yi Hongchun accepted him and became a child. This is too bad. The system. Next time, can you make one for me? You can choose the identity and age settings. Sitting on the grass, Yi Hongchun complained a little while looking at himself reflected in the lake. At this moment, there was no trace of anything on his body, and there was only a gray-white light ball left in his body. The original cultivation base of the Yuan Ing period. At this moment, I can't feel it at all. At this moment, Yi Hongchun had white hair just over his neck and a tender face, but he had a pair of extremely lifeless eyes, which was completely inconsistent with his age. But it seems that there is a lovely sense of sight. Putting aside the distracting thoughts, Yi Hongchun started to spin the dragon pin 9 tribulations technique. But the inexplicable powers that appeared on the mainland suddenly bounced off after they got into Yi Hongchun's body. As if Yi Hongchun had already absorbed enough, he couldn't bear the extra power again at all. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchun suddenly remembered a limitation of this world. Every 10th level, he had to seek a spirit ring before he could break through the realm. On the Doluo continent, the ranks are divided into levels 1 to 100, and every 10 level is a big stage. Soul Master within 10, Soul Master after 10, Great Soul Master after 20, Soul Master after 30, Soul Sect after 40, Soul King after 50, Soul Emperor after 60, and Soul Sage after 70, after 80 Contra. After 90, Title Doluo. This is also a top existence in this world. So, am I like Tang San now, full of soul power for an 8? Yi Hongchun slowly stood up and muttered. But he hasn't had a martial soul yet, or rather, he hasn't awakened a martial soul yet. Roar! At this moment, in the lake in front of Yi Hongchun, an aquamarine crocodile suddenly appeared with an extremely sharp horn on its nose. A pair of yellow eyes looked at Yi Hongchun. His eyes were full of hunger and thirst, as if it hadn't eaten anything for a long time. Seeing this, Yi Hongchun didn't hesitate, turned around and ran. After all, he didn't have any equipment right now, and even the Star Sword didn't know where the system was going. When the crocodile spirit beast saw Yi Hongchun wanting to drive away in front of it, 2 white sodas spurted out of his nostrils. Bang bang. In the next second, the crocodile spirit beast crawled out of the water directly, and a huge, slender body also appeared in front of Yi Hongchun's eyes. Good guy. The height alone is more than 2 meters, and the length seems to be nearly 10 meters, especially the extremely sharp fangs. Yi Hongchun is unimaginable. If he is bitten by it, will his body directly become fragments? Even though Yi Hongchun had already taken the lead in running away, the soul beast, despite its huge size, was not slow at all and soon chased behind Yi Hongchun. Roar! In the next second, the crocodile soul beast suddenly jumped, opened its mouth wide, and bit at Yi Hongchun. If he was really bitten by it, Yi Hongchun would probably die here. At the moment of his death, Yi Hongchun turned around and rushed onto the crocodile's spirit beast. Because it jumped up with Yi Hongchun's extremely petite body now, it easily slipped onto the crocodile. Damn it! If you are in the Yuntian continent, I will roast you now. Chapter 0364. The Powerful Youth. Damn it! If you are in Yuntian continent now, I will roast you now. Yi Hongchun, who had escaped the catastrophe, had lingering fears, but his mood was extremely calm and steady, and he couldn't help but curse at this moment. Yi Hongchun had just finished cursing, and he was so stout in front of him, with tiny thorny tails growing on it, and he swept directly at him. Yi Hongchun's reaction was also extremely quick. He chopped hard on the ground, and his whole body jumped directly. When it was about to fall, both hands steadily grasped the branches behind him again and did not fall firmly. Otherwise, the crocodile, who was already waiting below, would have eaten Yi Hongchun in one bite. But Yi Hongchun didn't have time to be happy. The crocodile below actually slammed its tail directly onto the root of the big tree, where Yi Hongchun was holding the branch. Click! The tree didn't support it for a second, and was directly broken by the crocodile's tail. And the crocodile suddenly opened its big mouth, waiting for the prey below Yi Hongchun. Without the support of the big tree, Yi Hongchun fell to the crocodile's mouth with the big tree. Yi Hongchun looked at the crocodile, growing in size in front of him. Her gray eyes shrank tightly. Could it be that I just died under the mouth of this animal? I'm not reconciled. At this moment, a sound of breaking through the sky instantly spread into Yi Hongchun's ears. Yi Hongchun heard that sound very clearly, and he could hear what it was in an instant. The sound of jamming. I saw the crocodile below. Suddenly, 7 sword marks splashed out. In the next second, the crocodile's body was suddenly divided into 7 parts and broke suddenly. It didn't even have time to shout out a scream. It was already in a different place. And Yi Hongchun did not fall into its mouth and fell in front of the crocodile's body. Call! Before he came to think about it, the big tree behind him pressed against Yi Hongchun. Even though Yi Hongchun could see him at this moment, he even had countless ways to escape in his heart. But his body couldn't reach that point at all, and it was a bit difficult for Yi Hongchun to move at this moment. The sound of swords rang again, and a long sword smashed the tree in an instant. In the next second, a white-haired, looking like a 28 or 9-year-old youth, appeared in front of Yi Hongchun. Under his feet, he stepped on a long sword, and this long sword was the one that helped Yi Hongchun to get out of the siege. Thank you, Yi Hongchun said slowly, looking at the handsome young man in front of him. The young man didn't say anything, but stretched out his hand and placed it in front of Yi Hongchun. Yi Hongchun did not hesitate and directly shook his hand. The next second, a huge force came from his hand, and Yi Hongchun was pulled up by the young man. Little Wawa, do you know how dangerous this is? You dare to come here alone. Although the young man has the skin of a young man, what he can say is a bit old. Yi Hongchun lowered his head and said nothing. After all, he didn't know what to say. What's your name? Seeing this, the young man didn't ask anymore, thinking that Yi Hongchun had been frightened by what happened just now. My name is Yi Hongchun. After Yi Hongchun calmed down, he raised his head and said to the young man's gaze. When the young man saw that Yi Hongchun dared to look at him directly, he couldn't help but was taken aback because he could see a kind of emotion in those gray eyes. Arrogant. Therefore, the youth's interest was immediately aroused by Yi Hongchun, and he said lightly, "Little baby, do you know who I am? You dare to look at me that way." Yi Hongchun shook his head and said, "Although I don't know who you are, I know that you won't hurt me." Chapter 0365. Sword de la Xin. Although I don't know who you are, I know that you won't hurt me. After hearing Yi Hongchun's words, the young man was taken aback again, and then laughed very refreshingly. Ha, okay, okay. No one has spoken to me like this for a long time. Little baby, I will tell you now who I am. After the young man finished speaking, an aura suddenly appeared on his body. A dazzling halo rose from his feet, directly making Yi Hongchun a little dumbfounded. 9 halos. Among them, the ones below the halo are yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. This halo, anyone who has seen the continent knows that this is a spirit ring, and those with 9 spirit rings are titled de law the last time. In other words, the young man in front of Yi Hongchun turned out to be a titled de law. Phone, titled de law. In order to make sure that he did not count wrong, Yi Hongchun recounted it again, suddenly muttering some incredible. As soon as he appeared casually, he actually saw the titled de law standing on top of Doloa continent. Little Wawa, I am the seated elder of the 7 treasure glazed glass sect. Chen Xin, titled sword. After Chen Xin saw Yi Hongchun's expression, she was secretly satisfied and finally shocked the little guy. Dusty? Titled sword? Sword Dolua Chinshin. That was the super Dolua of level 97 later. Yi Hongchun never thought that the young man in front of him was actually the famous sword Dolua Chinshin. Would you like to worship me as a teacher? I can let you. I do. Before Chen Xin finished speaking, Yi Hongchun said categorically. Hearing that, Chen Xin didn't blame Yi Hongchun for interrupting him, but smiled with great satisfaction. He had passed here a long time ago and had witnessed the passing of Yi Hongchun and the Soul Beast. It is hard to imagine that such a 6-year-old child has such a strong desire to escape. If she were to be the little witch of his 7 treasure glazed glass sect, she just estimated that she would be. Well, that's the case. Then you will be my Chunshin's disciple from now on. Chunshin nodded and directly grabbed Yi Hongchun with one hand and carried Yi Hongchun onto the sword. Hoo-hoo-hoo. In the next second, the sword under his feet flew at an extremely fast speed, and the sound of breaking through the air kept ringing in Yi Hongchun's ears. At this speed, the nascent soul stage simply cannot be achieved. Titled Dalaw, what kind of cultivation is the cultivation base corresponding to the Yuntian continent? Yi Hongchun was extremely puzzled and secretly guessed in his heart. There was no word all the way, and soon Yi Hongchun followed Chen Xin to a place with great momentum, where many buildings were built. It could be seen from the faintly glowing ground that the people here are very rich. Hongchen, this is the 7 treasure glazed glass sect. Have you awakened your martial spirit yet? As Yi Hongchun was observing the terrain, Jian Delua Chinshin's voice suddenly came from standing in front. Yi Hongchun shook his head slightly and said truthfully, no. Chen Xin didn't say much when he heard the words, but the flying sword originally flew to the top, but at this moment it changed its direction and fell straight down. Soon, an extremely magnificent courtyard appeared directly in front of Yi Hongchun's eyes, with 3 large characters engraved on it. One Huntang, Elder. Yi Hongchun had just fallen to the ground with Chen Xin, and several people dressed as guards saluted Chen Xin directly. No, take my disciple and let Yu Hen awaken his martial soul. Chen Xin waved his hand and said directly to the guards. Chapter 0366. Little Witch Ning Rong Rong, yes, Elder. The guard were shocked when Chen Xin said that Yi Hongchun was his disciple, but they quickly responded. Please hear, said a guard respectfully Chao Yi Hongchun. Yi Hongchun is Chun Xin's disciple. The only disciple. How can he be disrespectful? Teacher, won't you go with me? Yi Hongchun nodded and said to Chen Xin with some doubts. Chen Xin slowly shook his head and said to Yi Hongchun, I'm not going anymore. Waiting for you here. Yi Hongchun heard the words and didn't say much, and directly followed a guard into the martial soul hall. After passing buildings and tall buildings, Yi Hongchun followed the guards to a bright hall. There was a large transparent bead in the center, and Yi Hongchun couldn't hold it with both hands. You wait here for a while. I'll see Master Yu come over. The guard nodded towards Yi Hongchun and went straight out of the hall. Obviously, he was going to call this so-called Lord Yu. Hey, what are you doing here? I wonder if this lady is about to awaken the martial spirit. Not long after the guard left, a somewhat pleasant voice suddenly came from behind Yi Hongchun. Yi Hongchen frowned slightly and slowly turned around. What caught his eye was a little girl who also looked like 6 years old. He was even shorter than him, dressed in a blue dress, brown hair, and blue eyes, which looked lovely. It's easy to know that the little girl who grew up is definitely a beauty, and she has been a beauty since she was a child. It's just that compared with the little Lori Ning Yuting, she lacked a feeling of, extremely arrogant. What do you think, believe it or not? Ask my father to dig out your eyeballs. When Ning Rongrong saw that Yi Hongchen had been looking at her, he was immediately angry and said viciously towards Yi Hongchen, "If you don't look at me, how can you know that I am looking at you?" Yi Hongchen shook his head when he heard the words and turned around. When she heard the little girl's words, Yi Hongchen had already guessed her identity. Ning Rongrong, the daughter of Ning Fengji, the master of the 7 treasure glazed glass sect, and one of the future Shrek's 7 devils. After Ning Rongrong heard Yi Hongchen's words, a pair of blue eyes suddenly widened, and his body was shaking. Obviously, Yi Hongchen's words really made her angry. Haha, who made our little witch so angry? So capable. At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing a red overcoat with a white shirt in it suddenly walked from the door. There was a smile on his face, although he was deliberately angry with Ning Rongrong. His eyes were full of doting. The middle-aged man came to Ning Rongrong and put his hand directly on Ning Rongrong's brown hair. "What? Come to see your Uncle Yu today to awaken the martial spirit." "Oh, Uncle Yu, why are you talking so much? If you want to awaken, come quickly anyway. My spirit must be the Cabello glazed tile pagoda." Ning Rongrong directly broke free of the middle-aged man's hand and said in a loud voice. Upon seeing this, the middle-aged man was not dissatisfied, just smiled awkwardly and looked at Yi Hongchen ahead. "Compared, you are Qinshin's disciple? You can also call me Uncle Yu in the future. Come, let you wake up first." After speaking, Yuhin went directly to the center of the hall, where the crystal ball was placed. Ning Rongrong's expression suddenly sank when he heard Yuhin's words, especially the Qinshin disciple. No wonder she dared to confront her. It turned out to be a disciple of Grandpa Jian. Chapter 0367. Awakening Martial Soul. Come on, little guy, put your hand on this crystal ball, and I will guide you to awaken the martial soul in your body. When Yuhin saw that Yi Hongchen had not followed, her face was extremely kind and continued. Hearing the words, Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, then came directly to Yuhin and slowly stretched out his hand and placed it on the crystal ball. "Call." After Yi Hongchen put his hand on the crystal ball, the light in the hall suddenly disappeared. The entire hall was plunged into darkness. "Well, since I'm a disciple of Grandpa Jian, then I want to see what kind of martial arts you can have." Ning Rongrong thought to himself. Close your eyes, hold your breath, use your potential consciousness to guide your martial soul. Yi Hongchen, who was wondering what his martial soul was, suddenly heard Yuhin's words. Subconsciously, directly following the meaning of his words, slowly closing his eyes, letting out his consciousness, and probing towards the soul power in his body. In the next second, an extremely icy cold air froze Yi Hongchen's entire body, and Yi Hongchen almost screamed. Outside, Yi Hongchen's hands slowly separated from the crystal ball, and ice suddenly formed on the ground. In the entire hall, the temperature is dropping sharply, and it was extremely warm the moment before, but at this moment, it has become like it is going through a cold winter. Ning Rongrong was shivering coldly, and his hands couldn't help but wrap around. This guy, he awakened a martial soul and made such a set. He wants to do it. Wow. Before Ning Rongrong's words were finished, a sound of dragon roar suddenly appeared in the hall. In the next second, in front of Yi Hongchen, a dragon full of ice crystals appeared. The body seems to be made of ice, and the dragon scales on it are also clear. A pair of eyes bigger than Yi Hongchen's head, shining with a gray-white light, dazzling people's hearts. This chill turned out to be a martial soul with the ultimate ice attribute. Moreover, this martial soul has never been seen on the mainland. It was Yuhin who helped countless children of the big family awaken the spirit of martial arts. It can be seen that at this moment, after Yi Hongchen's spirit His expression suddenly shook. A face is full of incredible, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. A martial soul with the ultimate ice attribute that was able to restrain all the same attributes, even water attributes and fire attributes, martial spirits. As long as you encounter a martial soul with the ultimate ice attribute, there's only the word defeat. Before Yuhin could stabilize his mind, a ray of light appeared on Yi Hongchen's right hand again. Blue gloom. In the next second, a blue long sword with five-pointed star swords sunken into the body appeared on Yi Hongchen's walkout. As soon as he appeared, the ice block under Yi Hongchen's feet broke open naturally, as if he had suffered some serious damage. This is a weapon spirit, a sword, and it doesn't look like an ordinary sword spirit. Compared with Qinshin's 7-kill sword, it still has the upper hand. My goodness, he turned out to be a twin martial soul. At this moment, Yuan had been irritated by Yi Hongchen's martial spirit, and he blurted out everything when he saw it. Ning Rongrong, who was standing not far behind Yi Hongchen, had his eyes completely stunned at this moment. His mind was blank, and he couldn't hear the words of Rainmark at all. As for Yi Hongchen, he suddenly opened his eyes at this moment. With a pair of gray-white pupils, his right eye suddenly turned into a blood-colored pupil. It just faded quickly, and the Rainmark didn't notice at all. After all, his eyes were on the ice dragon and the sword of the moment. Chapter 0368. 3 Lives Martial Soul. Yi Hongchen subconsciously took away the ice dragon floating in front of him, leaving only the blue longsword spirit on his right hand. Well, isn't this the star sword? Yi Hongchen felt a little speechless while looking at the blue long sword above his right hand. System, you use the star sword as my martial soul. Is this really appropriate? Genius. Qinshin really has a genius. At this moment, Yi Hongchen's left hand was directly held by the Rainmark. His eyes lit up with a light, and he was extremely excited when he looked at Yi Hongchen. It seemed that the person who had just awakened the spirit was not Yi Hongchen, but his Rainmarks. Yi Hongchen looked at the Rainmark holding his hand tightly, and several black lines appeared on his forehead. To be honest, Yi Hongchen felt that he had not only these 2 martial souls, but also a martial soul. That is his right eye, just like Hui Yuhao from the 2nd Peerless Tang sect in Dolua continent. It's just that he just received it in time. Otherwise, if he was seen by the Rainmark in front of him and he was unpredictable, wouldn't he be very passive? Rain Uncle, you don't get excited. Yi Hongchen tried to pull out the hand he was holding and said to Yuhin in embarrassment. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Yuhin finally recovered, calmed down, and stood up straight. Little genius baby, you could go to the side first. Yuhin's eyes looked at Yi Hongchen with complicated eyes, a kind of appearance of losing her elder status in front of Yi Hongchen. Hearing this, Yi Hongchen was relieved and quickly stepped aside, waiting for Ning Rongrong's awakening. Hey kid, what's your name? Ning Rongrong was not in a hurry to awaken the martial spirit at this time. Instead, he looked at Yi Hongchen and asked, Yi Hongchen. Hearing this, Yi Hongchen glanced at Ning Rongrong with some doubts and said lightly, Yi Hongchen, right? Remember, don't think that twin martial souls are great, my Kibeo, Glazed Pagoda, but the strongest auxiliary martial soul on the mainland. With a pair of blue eyes, Ning Rongrong stared closely at Yi Hongchen, deliberately emphasizing her martial arts spirit, as if emphasizing the power of her martial arts spirit. Oh! Yi Hongchen only said one word faintly upon hearing this. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ning Rongrong only felt like he had scored a marshmallow and bounced out again weakly. With a cold snort, Ning Rongrong walked toward the crystal ball and raised his head like a proud rooster. Next, as Ning Rongrong said, her martial soul is only one, the 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda. Outside the Wuhuan Hall, Yi Hongchen and Ning Rongrong walked out together, and there were Rainmarks behind them. When Yuhin saw Qinshin, his expression was so excited that he almost hugged him. What? Chun Xian saw this, and suddenly a long sword appeared under her feet, braving a blue arrogance and sliding him directly across the other side. Seeing that Chen Xin was so disappointed, Umo could only calm down the excitement in his heart. Leaning to Chen Xin's side, looking at Yi Hongchen standing beside Ning Rongrong, he whispered, "Chen X, you really picked up a treasure this time." Hearing that, Chen Xin was a little unaware and asked in doubt, "What do you mean by this? Could it be that Hong Chen has awakened his weapon spirit and sword?" "Yes, and it's even better than your 7-kill sword," Yu Hen said here. An inexplicable smile suddenly appeared on his face. "Oh, that's just right. I can teach him some of my experience." Chen Xin just nodded faintly when she heard this. Yu Hen shook his head mysteriously and said in a deep voice, "More than that, because of him, there is also a martial soul." Chapter 0369. Bone fighting Luo Gu Rong. Yu Hen shook his head mysteriously and said in a deep voice, "More than that, because of him, there is also a martial soul." Chen Xin heard the words, and her whole body suddenly shook, and her eyes looked towards Yi Hongchen with shocked expressions in her eyes. Twin martial spirits. This kid who he thought was interesting and only accepted as a disciple turned out to be a genius of twin martial arts. What is his luck? "Teacher, this is my spirit." Yi Hongchen slowly raised his right hand after seeing Chen Xin look over. In the next second, a blue long sword suddenly appeared in the palm of Yi Hongchen's right hand. The whole body was exuding blue gloomy light, which looked extremely gorgeous. This martial soul turned out to be innately full of soul power. Chen Xion's vision was not low, and after feeling the soul power in the sword, he blurted out, "Not only, Chen Xion, his second martial soul, is also innately full of soul power." Yu Hen looked around for a moment, and after seeing no one, he leaned into Chen Xion's ear and whispered, "Double congenital full of soul power." Chen Xion showed a shocked expression on her face when she heard Yu Hen's words. "Grandpa Jian, haven't you seen me?" Grandpa Jian doesn't care about Rongrong. Ning Rongrong, who had been winking his eyebrows, trying to attract Qinshin's attention, was immediately dissatisfied when he saw Qinshin staring at Yi Hongchen beside him. After Chen Xin heard Ning Rongrong's voice, she finally noticed Ning Rongrong and suddenly smiled kindly. "It turns out, Rongrong, why have you come to awaken martial soul today?" "That's natural. My martial soul is the 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda, and it is still full of soul power." Ning Rongrong directly stretched out his hand, and a pagoda suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand. The pagoda exudes 7 colors. Each layer corresponds to a color, and there are 7 layers in total. It's as if you have innate soul power. Yi Hongchen cast a glance at Ning Rongrong and said lightly, I am the top martial art soul of the auxiliary system. Your sword may not be as good as Grandpa's sword's 7-kill sword. Coincidentally, my sword can be used as a power attack type war spirit master, or a control type war soul master, much better than yours." When Chen Xian saw Yi Hongchen, Ning Rongrong had a sign of quarreling, and hurriedly came to the two of them and picked up one person in one hand. "Okay, don't make trouble. You will all be the strongest soul masters of the 7-treasure glazed tile school from now on. What's comparable?" Chen Xian smiled, and in the next second, a long sword exuding blue arrogance suddenly appeared at his feet. It is his martial soul, the 7-killing sword. In the next second, Ning Rongrong and Ning Rongrong soared into the sky, with Chen Xian and Yi Hongchen, who had been picked up, fly straight to the highest point of the Kibeo glazed tile school, the most luxurious and heroic place in the entire Kibeo glazed tile school. Just arrived in a clearing area. Underneath stood a group of guards waiting in a tight array. Chen Xin hadn't landed yet. A voice suddenly came. "Qinshin, where have you been this time? Why is it so long?" A burst of black light appeared in front of Chen Xian's eyes, and a young man wearing a black robe with black hair scattered behind suddenly appeared. And in the Kibeo glazed glass sect, who else can call Qinshin's name? Even the current sect Master Ning Fengji of the 7-treasure glazed glass sect can only be called Uncle Qinzinjian. This young man is surprisingly Gu Rong, who is the same age as Qinshin. Bondoluo, He and Chun Xin had an incomparable introduction on Doluo continent. Sword Doluo attacked the strongest Doluo. Bone Doluo, the strongest defensive Doluo. It turns out it's your bones. Why? What's the matter with appearing here? Chun Xin put down Yi Hongchen and Ning Rongrong to said a word. Chapter 0370. Sect Master Ning Fengji, didn't you hear that you accepted a disciple? Let's take a look. Gu Rong said, and his eyes swept towards Yi Hongchen. Call. A cold wind blew across Yi Hongchen's face, and Gu Rong suddenly came to Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen only felt that his shoulders sank. It turned out that Gu Rong's hands were resting on his shoulders. Oh, this body is really good. Or, little Wawa, you also worship me as a teacher. Gu Rong let go of Yi Hongchen's shoulders and smiled, looking at Yi Hongchen and said, Bone, are you tired of living? Dare to be a strong disciple in front of me. A long sword braving a blue arrogance hit Gu Rong in an instant, accompanied by the sound of Qinshin with an angry voice. However, a black light appeared on Gu Rong's body, and he directly blocked the sword. Why? Are you afraid that I won't be able to rob your disciple? Gu Rong raised his brows, fearing that Qinshin could not understand his words, and deliberately raised his voice. I'm not afraid to tell you. My disciple Wu is a weapon spirit, and is not an ordinary weapon spirit yet. Chun Xin snorted coldly, said lightly, and led Yi Hongchen into the magnificent hall. Grandpa Bone, how come you only have that kid in your eyes? You can't even see Rongrong. Ning Rongrong saw Gu Rong still staring at Chun Xin, and Yi Hongchen from behind jumped up and said viciously, it turned out to be Rongrong. Wherever, Grandpa Gu is the one who loves Rongrong the most. After Gu Rong heard Ning Rongrong's words, he immediately touched Ning Rongrong's head with great affection and said with incomparable fondness, in the hall, a man in white, sitting on the top throne, is looking at a folded book. After Chun Xin, Yi Hongchen walked in. The man put down the book in his hand and looked directly at Yi Hongchen with eyes that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. He is impressively the master of the 7-treasure glazed glass sect, Ning Fengji. He is also Ning Rongrong's father. Uncle Jian, he is... Ning Fengji looked at Chun Xin beside Yi Hongchen with some doubts. Oh, Fengji, his name is Yi Hongchen, and he is my disciple. Chun Xin said to Ning Fengji when he heard the words. In the next second, she signaled that Yi Hongchen was standing here, and Chun Xin walked directly to Ning Fengji's side, seeming to be saying something, but Yi Hongchen's current strength could not hear their conversation at all. All I knew was that Ning Fengji suddenly looked at him with a surprised look and then slowly nodded. During this period, Bone Deluo also came in with Ning Rongrong, standing in front of Yi Hongchen. Ning Rongrong also looked back at Yi Hongchen from time to time and made a face. After a long time, Chun Xin, Ning Fengji's conversation finally ended. Ning Fengji looked at Yi Hongchen and smiled softly. Since you are Uncle Jian's disciple, you can also call me Uncle Ning in the future, so you don't have to be too restrictive. Hearing Ning Fengji's words, Yi Hongchen nodded, indicating that he knew. By the way, Hongchen, you can summon your martial spirit so that we can get acquainted with it. At this moment, Chun Xin looked at Yi Hongchen and said towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen heard the words and didn't say anything. He directly raised his hands, and a white light lit up on his left hand. In the next second, the temperature of the entire hall suddenly dropped sharply, and ice cubes even appeared under Yi Hongchen's feet. I haven't seen Qinshin, Bone Deluo, Gu Rong, and Ning Fengji, the first martial soul of Hongchen, to spend the night. Their eyes widened suddenly. In the next second, a long ice-white dragon, several times larger than Yi Hongchen's body at the moment, suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen. Ouch! Chapter 0371. Two titled Duluos arguing ouch. As soon as the ice dragon appeared, he immediately opened his big mouth, and the sound of a dragon roar came from its mouth. With its long chant, the walls of the hall were covered with frost, and the cold temperature directly caused the weakest Ning Rong to tremble. Ning Fengji and Bone Deluo were stunned when they saw the ice dragon appearing in front of Yi Hongchen. Even Jian Doluo Qinshin, who was mentally prepared, was shocked by Yi Hongchen's martial spirit at this moment. The ultimate ice attribute martial soul, and it's still a beast spirit. This is too shocking, right? Before they could recover, Yi Hongchen's right hand suddenly heard the sound of a sword. In the next second, a blue long sword sank into 5 small pits on the blade, and the small pits where all 5-pointed star-shaped martial spirits appeared. Twin martial spirits. Here, Uncle Jian, where did you find the disciple? Ning Fengji swallowed when he saw this, and said to Chun Xian beside him, seeing that he has a good talent, I will accept it. Chen Xian was also a little surprised at the moment. Of course, the surprise was greater than the accident. At this moment, he was very fortunate. Fortunately, he was still curious to watch it and saved Yi Hongchen. Otherwise, God knows that God will arrange for such a genius to appear in front of him. Qinshin, I really want to accept him as my disciple now. I don't know what you want. Bon Doluo looked very serious, smiling, and said to Qinshin, You are dreaming. Chun Xian's eyes condensed, and she refused without hesitation. Compare, whoever wins is his disciple. Bon Doluo snorted directly when he heard the words, and a black light appeared on his body. A series of spirit rings rose from under his feet, same as Chun Xian, 9 spirit rings. Come on, really I'm afraid you won't make it? Chun Xian heard this, and 9 spirit rings appeared at her feet. A huge momentum suddenly emerged from the two of them. While Uncle Jian, Uncle Bone, don't make trouble. Since Hongchen has a sword martial arts soul, and he received it first, he is naturally Uncle Jian's disciple. Uncle Bone, don't fight. Ning Fengji said hurriedly after seeing that the two were about to fight. After all, if these two titled Doluos really fought, wouldn't this place be destroyed? Although this hall is re-established, it does not require a lot of funds, but it is troublesome. Hey, I said Fengji, are you standing on Qinshin's side now? You are so partial. Upon hearing Ning Fengji's words, Bon Doluo became unhappy and said directly to Ning Fengji, Grandpa Bon, don't be afraid. Grandpa Jian teaches this kid. Wouldn't it be better for you to teach Rong Rong to Dad? Ning Rongrong's voice suddenly sounded when he saw that Bon Doluo seemed to be smashing his father. It's better for Rong Rong. Grandpa Bones didn't hurt you for nothing. Bon Doluo snorted, and when he looked at Ning Rongrong, he became extremely kind. Yi Hongchen had already withdrawn his martial spirit, and only after seeing that they had already talked about it, he spoke. Teacher, my martial souls are all innately full of soul power. So now, is it possible to find a matching soul beast to obtain a soul ring? After hearing what Yi Hongchen said, Jian Doluo Qinshin, Bon Doluo Gurong, and Ning Fengji realized that Yi Hongchen was still full of spirit power. Hongchen is right. Then I'll take him to the Star Do Great Forest first. I'll be back at that time. Chun Xian said to Ning Feng. The 7 killing swords suddenly appeared at his feet, and he immediately left the hall with Yi Hongchen. Chapter 0372. The teacher let me do it myself. This child. The future achievements are limitless. Ning Fengji muttered, looking at Yi Hongchen, who was being carried away by Chun Xian. Dad, my future achievements will definitely not be worse than him. Ning Rongrong suddenly puffed up his mouth after hearing Ning Fengji even boasting about Yi Hongchen, not to be outdone. Star Do Great Forest. A blue light flashed across the forest, and it was a long sword with blue arrogance. On the long sword, there were 2 people standing, one big and one small. Both of them had white hair. The big one was long, and the small one was short. These 2 people are the Sword Doluo Qinshin, who brought Yi Hongchen to hunt down the soul beast. Hongchen, you have to remember that acquiring a spirit ring is not a random one that can be absorbed, but it must be suitable for you. Otherwise, the acquired abilities will not be able to play the best role at all. When Chun Xian controlled the flying sword to fly down, she said to Yi Hongchen, who was standing behind, Yes, teacher. Yi Hongchen nodded and said. Yi Hongchen, who followed Chun Xian's body, searched for 2 minutes in the Star Do Great Forest, during which time he also encountered some spirit beasts. It's a pity that none of them are suitable for Yi Hongchen, So Chan Xen directly exuded his titled the aura, scaring those spirit beasts away. Finding the right soul beast is not easy. In this process, you must be patient. Chun Xin seemed to really regard Yi Hongchen as his disciple, and kept instilling knowledge into Yi Hongchen along the way. Roar! At this moment, a tree in front of the tree broke instantly, falling towards Yi Hongchen and Qinshin. Chun Xin just raised his hand and directly smashed the fallen tree with a punch. The next second, a head full of yellow, with some black tiger stripes on the body, 2 sharp teeth growing from the mouth. The body looks like a tiger, appearing in front of Qinshin. Yi Hongchen's eyes, it was a saber-toothed tiger, but its body became extremely large. This is a saber-toothed yellow tiger. Watching its spirit power fluctuations, it should be an 800-year-old spirit beast. Chun Xin looked at the soul beast in front of him and was not anxious to hunt it down and explain to Yi Hongchen. "Teacher, can you let me try?" Yi Hongchen hesitated a little, then asked Chun Xin. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Chun Xin was a little surprised. Oh, after all, Yi Hongchen at the moment was just a 6-year-old child. Even if he was born with full soul power, there was no 1.5 move. It is estimated that dealing with a soul beast that has lasted for decades, or even 10 years, will not necessarily win. But now, Yi Hongchen directly wanted to deal with an 800-year-old soul beast. This made Chun Xin unavoidably confused. "Teacher, you can catch it when it wants to run away, or I can help when I'm in danger." Yi Hongchen didn't care how shocked Chun Xin was, and continued as if impermanent. After all, letting the teacher move is better than the students doing it themselves and adding actual combat experience. When the words fell, Yi Hongchen didn't care what Chun Xin thought. A blue light suddenly lit up on his right hand. In the next second, the sword Martial Soul, transformed by the star sword, suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's palm. Yi Hongchen directly held the hilt of the Xingqian sword, moved quickly under his feet, and rushed towards the sword-toothed yellow tiger. Chun Xin saw this, although she felt a little unnatural in her heart, but she was ready. Once Yi Hongchen was lost and fell into a crisis, he immediately rescued Yi Hongchen. Roar! When the saber-toothed Huanghu saw a little furry boy who dared to commit suicide alone, he suddenly roared very spiritually and waved his limbs quickly. He used the 2 sharp saber teeth in his mouth as an attack and rushed towards Yi Hongchen. Chapter 0373. Killing the 800-year soul beast. "Come on, I'm still afraid that you won't be an animal." Yi Hongchen saw it, and his fighting spirit was undiminished, and he stabs the sword-toothed yellow tiger directly with a sword. Moreover, it turned out to be positive. There's a huge difference in strength, and I still choose to fight face to face. Sure enough, I don't have any combat experience. It's a nonsense. Upon seeing this, Chun Xin took a step directly, secretly saying in her heart, but she was ready to save Yi Hongchen at any time. Sure enough, after Yi Hongchen pierced the saber-toothed yellow tiger's saber teeth with a sword, he was directly pushed out by the saber-toothed yellow tiger's tremendous strength. The saber-toothed yellow tiger would naturally not let go of this opportunity, and his front 2 feet immediately lifted up, and with a kick on the back, they all pressed towards Yi Hongchen. When Yi Hongchen saw this, there was no panic on his face. After steadying his figure, he moved. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's speed suddenly increased, and he retreated directly to the front of a big tree. After losing the target, the saber-toothed yellow tiger's feet fell heavily on the previous Yi Hongchen's position. On the ground, 2 small pits were suddenly opened. Roar! After the saber-toothed Huanghu saw that Yi Hongchen had no retreat behind.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.